All right, guys. We are going to be starting our podcast today. Thank you so much for tuning in for the PF masculinity or PJ masculinity. Hopefully, you guys can just start coming in. We're going to react to Nick Fuentes talking about the young Republicans. We already have some chats coming in. We got Lauren here saying unemployment keeps rising, nothing cheaper. Bankrupt farmers seeking bailout, layoffs increasing, utility prices up. RBG report gets worse. The value of the dollar has dropped 11%. That's true. That is completely true, and I agree with you. But it has to get like this right now in order to get better. Since the last administration, there was a lot of money printing. We were printing a lot of money, and I do believe that a lot of the numbers of the unemployment dropping has nothing to do with natural-born citizen. I think a lot of those numbers are skewed because of foreign-born citizens that just simply just working American jobs. That's my opinion of this. Let's see what's going on here, guys. Give me 1 second. Hopefully, we can just get some people coming in. We're gonna start here, guys. I just want to remind you to click like, share, and comment. We're here to just protect the republic. Make sure that we keep our nation moving forward. Keep speaking truth. With that being said, let's jump in. Okay, what's going on here? I'm sorry, guys. We do it live, y'all. We do it live. So hold on tight. There we go. Damn, man. Come on now. Damn, man, bro. For real. Don't do this to me, please. Don't do this to me, man. Yeah, I don't know why it does this. Sometimes my internet does this. I don't know why. Just give me 1 second. You are learn. Meaning what? Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay. See how it does that? I think it's because of the quality. Let's drop it. Give me 1 second, yeah, guys. I don't know why my internet does this. You see how it start talking and doesn't say anything? Damn, bro. Come on now. Give me 1 second, y'all. I don't. This happened when you do live, right? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Come on, man. Give me 1 second. See, you go like this and doesn't do anything. Give me 1 second, guys. We're gonna fix it. Don't worry about it. For some reason, my computer does this. I don't know why. Chrome. Start acting kind of retarded. I don't know why. Damn, man. So how about that? Hmm. It's not even working. Fucking man. My bad, guys. Oh man, this is gonna be a pain. Give me 1 second, guys. Like your stash, I hope we have three mind. Yeah, hey man, we do a lot. Hey, we always here, trying to keep it nice and clean. You know what I'm saying? Thank you so much for the super chat. We're gonna get into it. Give me 1 second. I don't know. I simply don't know why it does that. There's no sound. Just give a second. There's a lot of things that he mentioned in the last couple of videos. Nick pointed out is that I do agree with him. Certainly, I don't agree with some of the takes when it comes down to Israel and Gaza because I'm more like a pragmatic type of guy. I don't think Gaza. I don't think it served the best interest of the United States to just keep bending our knees to Gaza. Because in the end of the day, we have to just bring these people here to the United States, and I don't want replacement in some of our communities. That's enough with that. Yo, what the hell is this, man? Bro. You guys know what the hell's going on here, man? Learn. No audio. Yeah, I know. There's no audio. I don't know why there's no audio. I'm trying to fix it here with the help. With troubleshooting, but it's not helping. It's not helping. I don't know why. Give me 1 second. No audio. Give me 1 second. Golly, man. Just simply don't understand why it does that. My computer does this. I don't know why. There we go. There we go. Got it. That's all we need to do, huh? Close the browser and open another one. There you go.
America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We have a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Yes. We have a lot to talk about tonight, lots to get into. We are on the road. I'm on the road, so I'm not in the studio. And I was planning on just not doing a show for the rest of the week, which would have been ideal, to be honest. To not have to do a show for 3 days sounds like a vacation. Sounds like a privilege.
We have to hustle, man.
But I've been on the road for a while, and I figured I couldn't do that to you. So I'm going to be doing a show tonight, tomorrow on the road. Thursday, I will be on InfoWars in the morning, and then I'll be back in the studio at night. So you get a show. You get basically a full week. We're going to be doing shows. This is the first time I've done a show on the road in, I think, almost 3 years. And I don't even know where to look. Am I looking in the camera right now? You have to tell me how it sounds because my audio might be messed up. But we're on the road. It's something about this camera. What is it about this MacBook camera? It's just doing things to me.
They're not the best. That's why they're not the best.
I feel like I do when I was in LA.
They're not
I look good on this camera.
Why
don't I look this good on my camera at home? I should do a show on the laptop all the time. Anyway, we got a great show for you tonight. Our featured story, we're going to be talking all about this group chat leak. And, look, it's not the biggest story ever, but it's a slow news day. The $100 a month club says I'm doing a great job. Thank you very much. Now stop tagging me, please. But our featured story, we're talking all about this young Republican group chat leak. It's a very slow news day, but it is sort of interesting because this is happening in the context of everybody talking about how cancel culture is over. And everyone recognizes we're in a new ecosystem right now, sort of unprecedented, new territory. And by that, I mean everybody is unbanned on Twitter. It seems that free speech is increasing, if it's not all the way restored, on Meta, Google, X. Mm-hmm. And cancel culture has certainly receded with the censorship. And I never thought I'd see it move in that direction ever. And so people have been talking a lot. There's been much said about how maybe we're in a post-cancel culture era. And there have been prominent examples of this. Big Balls, who was at the White House, and some of the crew that Elon Musk brought in for Doge, these guys got canceled. There was an attempted cancellation for things they had said on the internet.
Make sure you guys subscribe.
And it seemed that there was an intercession almost from Musk, Vance, other elements inside the administration to prevent them from being fired. And ordinarily, that's how it works. Is a Republican group chat leaks, an old Twitter alt gets found, somebody is saying something they shouldn't be saying, and they lose their job. It's a scalp. Mm-hmm. It gets aired out in Washington Post or Politico or The Hill or whatever, Daily Beast. And traditionally, this is how it works, and then those people get their lives destroyed, reputations ruined, terminated from their jobs. And that seems now to be changing. And like I said, those are a couple of prominent examples of some of the Doge kids. Now we have another instance of this, and we're kind of charting a new course here, figuring out as we go along. Some young Republicans are in a group chat. They call them YRs. And it's kind of stupid because, I don't even know how young these guys are. I mean, young Republicans now are like 45 years old. You have like 40-year-old men like Matt Kipta are calling themselves young Republicans. I don't even know what that means anymore. The guy's fucking 39 or something. But in any case, they're in a group chat and hundreds of messages leak, and it's a right-wing group chat. So it's exactly what you would expect. And what's interesting now is that it seems like a lot of people are disavowing them. The Young Republican Club disavowed them. They may be fired from their jobs. But other people, surprisingly, are now defending them, including prominently Matt Walsh, J.D. Vance, among others. Excuse me. And so it looks like this is yet another watershed moment, or you could say a potential data point in this new free speech ecosystem. So that's why it's somewhat relevant. We'll talk.
Well, the thing is that this is not 2012 anymore. Probably the peak, 2020? If you say something like that, they're probably gonna, the cancel culture will probably just go and just make your life a hellhole, but not today. Yeah, I'm just a conservative. Me too. I'm just a conservative myself as well. This, when it comes down to this type of stuff, this is all a trap just to make sure they can make you guilty. And to make sure you're not focused on the real issue. Notice it was a text with the Democrat candidate running in Virginia for the Attorney General, Jones. He literally just wants to delete people. So they want you to bow down when something is found on your side, and you're supposed to just be the good guy and just disavow it. It's just a trap. Personally, I think it's just a trap.
A little bit about the scandal tonight. We'll read through some of
it. And to be honest, it was not a big deal. Like, they were just basically just throwing jokes and stuff like that. It was not a big deal.
It was sad. It's pretty funny, actually. I feel like my group chat is far worse, though. If my group chat ever leaks, it's over for me.
Yeah, Twitter is much worse. Twitter is much worse.
You know, you think what I say on
Twitter is getting like, people are throwing the N-word, and you know, you have Coffee Beans and Snowman just going at each other. You know, it's crazy. And then you have the jewelries out there, you know, trying to be crazy too.
The show is bad. You know, it's not great in the group chat. But anyway, so we'll read through the Politico article, some pretty good stuff. We'll talk about the reaction. Have to say, I've been pleasantly surprised from Vance. And you know, Vance is my number one op, and I have major problems with him. But he has been remarkably consistent on this across the board. For me, when I was banned on Twitter, he defended me. For Big Balls or whoever it was in that. I don't think it was Big Balls. It was another one of those guys. His name starts with a K. I forget it. But he defended that guy when he got canceled. And now he's defending these young Republicans. And I never thought I'd see it ever. But Republicans are finally learning to play the whatabout game, the whataboutism game. And I think that's absolutely overdue. And of course, I'm referring to the fact that a month ago, you had people celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. You've got Democrats running for office that want to like kill Republicans.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And apparently that's fine. But then a Republican group chat gets leaked, and it's young white kids. They're being controversial, and then they're going to get hanged. They're going to get their lives destroyed. Why would we play along with that? We're in power. They should not be fired. We'll also talk about Gavin Wax's role in it. I've heard some rumors that he was responsible for the leak, and I guess it's like some young Republican nonsense. It's like young Republicans fighting over committee seats and total, utter nonsense, basically like adult Model UN bullshit. And so supposedly Gavin Wax orchestrated the leak to damage some guy who took his committee assignment. And, fuck all these people, and especially Gavin Wax. And I told a lot of people, nobody that's involved, none of these guys were Groypers. I mean, I don't know these guys, but, they're influenced by the Groypers. Everybody's influenced by Groypers under the age of 30. But I told some other people that I know that are peripherally connected to it, I said, dude, serves you right. Gavin Wax is hanging out with his Jewish grandma with Chuck Schumer commemorating the Holocaust, and everybody was telling me for years how based he was. And then he goes and sells out the group chat to, like, get back at some young Republican guy because they lost the student council president election.
Some of these young people, they're not understanding the long game, man. They're not understanding the long game, and they start doing stuff like this, leaking chat, leaking conversations. Like, you should not be doing this. You should be thinking more. Of course, don't be dumb. Don't be out there just saying stupid stuff like this, right? Don't make this thing worse, right? But think about the long word, the long goal. Think about what we need to do to make sure we can preserve the country. And I do believe that a lot of these people are just there for their own agendas. We should not be out of focus like this. And I'm glad that the Israel and Hamas thing hopefully will come to an end for a little bit, because we need to focus on home.
It's totally
Especially when it comes down
ridiculous.
to
So,
illegal migration.
anyways, we'll talk all about that. I'll tell you what I know about it. We're also going to talk tonight about Trump's announcement on the Gaza peace plan. Not good. And we covered the Gaza peace plan, I think, on Friday or Thursday. I don't remember exactly when we did a show covering the whole deal, but as you know, I'm not optimistic about the deal. I'm glad that people are no longer dying for now, and I'm glad that it's a gesture towards peace. But as I said last week, it does not resolve the root causes of the conflict. And this is why the conflict has been simmering for decades, for generations, and it's sporadically that it will boil over. And then it goes back to its state of simmering, but it's never fully resolved. And I think that is all the peace plan does, is it just defers this part of the conflict to a later date. I think that what most likely will happen is that Israel will shift its attention to Iran and decisively confront Iran soon, and then probably revisit Gaza within a year.
Probably. Yeah.
And I think that's the most likely outcome. I seriously doubt that this plan has the specificity, the details. I don't know that Trump has the focus or willpower to follow through on it. I don't think Netanyahu has abandoned any of his goals that have been articulated, for decades, but especially ever since the war in Gaza began. That being said, the reason I suspect this is because inside the deal, the 20-point plan, some of the points have been agreed upon. The hostage prisoner exchange, ceasefire, the withdrawal of Israeli forces to a certain periphery inside of Gaza. But the most important things, there is no agreement. And among those things are the disarmament of Hamas. Israel started the war. They didn't start the war, but their strategic objectives in the war, I should say, were to demilitarize Gaza and specifically to remove Hamas from power, which means disarming them and then expelling them or eradicating them and ensuring that they have no future in the governance of Gaza, or really no presence in Gaza at all, and certainly not with weapons. And I heard some reports last week that Hamas had agreed to lay down their arms. I don't believe that's verified, though, or under what conditions. And so anyway, the big news today, that Trump comes out today during some ceremony and says, well, Hamas said they would lay down their arms. He said, but if they don't, I will disarm them violently.
But here's where I disagree with him. And I've seen both sides of the equation, right? Hamas is not a good guy. I don't know why we keep defending this guy. He's not a good guy. We have multiple videos in the last 48 hours. Him deleting his own people. Like, at some point, we don't have to choose a side on this. We don't have to choose a side. I think it's more important for us to just get out of Israel and get out of Hamas. We don't have to just pretend that because we don't like Israel, we have to defend Hamas. We don't have to. Those people are not congruent to us. They're not allies. They don't want us. They hate us. We don't have to pretend that we have to like them.
And so what does that mean? So now is the United States going to invade Gaza? We're going to now bomb Hamas ourselves? And I don't know how likely any of that is. It could be rhetoric. It could be a throwaway statement, but I don't like it. And I don't like anything about the deal. I don't like that there are 300 American personnel in Israel. There's 100 operating the two THAAD weapon systems. 200 more have been deployed to oversee the logistics of the prisoner exchange. I don't like that there are Americans there. I don't like that we now own this because Trump has intervened. And I don't like the threat, even if it's an idle threat, even if it's, like I said, a throwaway remark. If that's...
Jackass Whiskey says, super chat, I like Israel. They have a kick-ass military. Yeah, and I understand the Listen, I prefer, some of you guys might not like me, but I prefer Israel as an ally. Strategically, they're more close to the Western culture, Western society, right? But I do understand why a lot of people don't want to be there. And I do understand that. But to pretend that by not liking Israel, we have to now move and just like Hamas and Palestine, which we clearly know these people don't like us, it's just delusional as well. It's not thinking clearly.
His typical
so much,
gunboat
Jagas.
diplomacy, the kind of madman theory, whatever you want to call it. I don't like it. So we'll talk about that too, as in the Washington Post. Should be a pretty good show. Before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button, smash the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the show. What else? Yeah, not much else. Kind of a slow day. I'm traveling. How do I look? I feel like I look good. I feel like this camera really, it makes my face look thinner. It makes me look whiter. Makes my eyes look greener. So I don't know if you agree. Anyway, I'm literally looking at, usually I look at the Google Docs. I'm looking at myself right now. That's why I'm getting carried away. But we're going to move on. We're going to get into the news. This will probably be a relatively shorter show. But we're going to get into our first story. We'll talk about this Politico article. I'm going to pull it up and we'll read through it. Mm-hmm. Like I said, this is from a young, and I don't know all the details. I don't know any of the people involved. I don't know the inside baseball here. I have a general idea of it. You have this group chat of YRs, young Republicans, and I guess it's just a typical conservative group chat. These are under 30, age under 30, young white men, very conservative, and it's exactly what you'd expect. Very explicit, very racial, very provocative. Somebody leaks the group chat to Politico, and they put it out, they blast everybody in it, and now they're calling for everybody to get fired. So this is a story from Politico. It says, quote, leaders of young Republican groups throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked, but they kept typing anyway. They referred to black people as monkeys and the watermelon people, and mused about putting their opponents in gas chambers. They talked about raping their enemies.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Who would ever do such a thing? Who would ever say such a thing? That's terrible. Imagine, I'm appalled, actually. Driving them to suicide, they lauded Republicans who they believe support slavery. William, what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah, we're going to move a little bit forward because what he's mentioning is kind of...
Everyone's a groiper now. I don't even know these people. I've never met these people, and yet...
All right, Chaka Wisi said, the super chat, I don't like the political leaning of Israel. They're very socialistic. Yeah, very socialistic and very liberal. Very liberal when it comes down to political. I learned this a couple of days ago. Happens to be that I think I might be wrong here, but Israel government is secular. It's not orthodox. It's not orthodox, which made things very interesting. You open up a can of worms, meaning that now you understand why they're very progressive in their own country, which is weird.
And I don't know that they identify as groypers. I don't believe they talked about me. If they did, I'm sure it'd be in here. But it just goes to show this is the mood of my generation. This is the mood. This is the zeitgeist of the under 25, under 30 crowd, especially for white men. It's just where they are. Anyway, it goes on. It says, he continued, I'm going to create some of the greatest physiological torture methods known to man. We only want true believers. Did I write this? And was I in the group chat? And so these are some of the screenshots. Well, it just reiterates what was already reported here. Joe Molino previously identified himself as the general counsel for New York State Young Republicans, wrote, can we fix the showers, gas chambers?
Oh, yeah, that's the part I'm going to move a little forward.
When they think no one is listening. And it goes on like this. They've been disavowed. It says prominent New York Republicans, including Elise Stefanik and State Senate Minority Leader Rob Ort, denounced the chat. Festering resentment among young Republicans have now turned into public recriminations, including allegations of character assassination and extortion. And here's basically the story of how this came about. So I guess there was a beef between Gavin Wax and the guy who ran the group chat. Gavin Wax and this guy, Peter Junta, whatever his name is, they had some beef because I guess this guy Peter got this committee chair position, and Gavin believed that he was passed over or usurped or screwed over. And so supposedly, this is a story, supposedly Gavin Wax leaned on, this is what is being alleged, somebody who was in the group chat working for his rival, Peter, and got this guy to send him the chat logs. And allegedly a threat was made. Or
another super chat from Jack's Whiskey. I don't get into race ideology. I think it's silly. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but there's some truth to some of this stuff, right? And I think you have to understand the truth, but don't get too blind where you become stupid as well, right? So I do understand that there's certain things that we need to acknowledge. Let's put it that way. And with those things being acknowledged, we have to understand that there's certain cultures that do benefit the United States and do benefit the Western world because we're sharing common values. Does that make sense? But not to get to the point where you're just blind, right? Like you're just completely blind. But now you're not using your IQ. You're just being emotional. I understand when it comes down to Vivek Ramaswamy, there's some concerns because he clearly stated that he's okay with foreigners coming in. That's a problem, right? Because a lot of these foreigners are not Vivek, right? Are just people that just want to take advantage of the system. So I do understand a lot of folks when it comes down to this. However, we have to be very careful, not get emotional, and just be blind by just, choosing a side because of the skin's color. Because I'm telling you, you ask me, I'm very careful with that. But I do understand that there are certain cultures that they're not congruent with the Western world. We have to tackle that, and that does play. I'm trying to be very careful here. It benefits the United States. They have to have a very strong Western culture as a fundamentals. It benefits because it was built on that. To think otherwise is being dishonest. Because if you bring a lot of people from these countries that are not congruent with the Western world, in the long run, it's going to change the dynamic of the country. Does that make sense, Jackass? Let me know.
Or implied that if this person did not comply, that Gavin would go after him for violating an NDA, which covered so much some sordid activities. This is what the streets are saying. These are the rumors. Not verified. These are allegations. Mm-hmm. So Gavin Wax leaned on a guy inside his rival's circle, this guy that apparently he believes usurped him. Gavin got the logs, and one of his people, or he himself, allegedly handed this over to Politico to blow up this guy's inner circle, because that was the group chat. It was the...
Jackass with another $5 super chat says, I just like conservatives. I don't care what scheme my fellow conservatives have. I like thoughts. Yeah, I think that's the most... that's the right approach, right? You only talking with people with certain ideologies. And people with that kind of ideology, it's going to just align with you. So that's why I'm not worried about that. That's why I'm not worried in the long run. If conservatives really embrace conservatism, because it's going to be aligned with people with their own belief system. I do think that conservatives are scared to really live with those beliefs. And let me explain why. Meaning, making sure that our federal government is small. Making sure that we are really tackling the illegal migration. Happens to be a lot of conservatives, they still use illegal migration for their own work or their own jobs. They just benefit with the congressional seats. And we can talk about that as well. So we have to practice those conservative ideas in the real world to just see a lot of changes. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, I am fairly wealthy and like giving money to my fellow conservatives. Thank you so much, Jackass. we do what we can to protect the republic. That's what if this little little videos change things and it does change things in the long run. It's worth it. Thank you so much, Jackass.
For this rival. And I would say the first thing about this story is if this is true,
thank you so much
who
for
is at fault here? It's Gavin Wax. And I'm a big believer, and if you're engaging in this kind of petty, friendly fire nonsense, you should just be blacklisted. You just got to go.
100%.
And by that, I mean, this cannot be tolerated in right-wing circles. This kind of friendly fire, I mean, read the room.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk just got shot in the face by the left. And the tension is ratcheting up at these ICE facilities in Chicago and Portland. Like,
this is where I stand for. This right here. This is my position right now.
These people want us dead.
Right here.
And you think about the gravity of the situation we're in, to be going after and betraying your own people, which is people you know or did know, young white guys that are controversial, feeding that to the left. And by the way, in such a manner that reinforces political correctness. Because, of course, what is this story going to be used to say? They are running this up the flagpole, and this will have ramifications not just for the people involved immediately, but for everybody. Because they're going to put this out to Politico, and the headline is going to be, Generation Z, the young white men, are all Nazis. We have a Nazi problem. And what do you think this does for every under 30 white Republican, white man, conservative in politics? Huge target on their backs. This puts pressure on TikTok and X to censor. It puts pressure on Republicans to denounce and close ranks and tighten up. And it gives the left ammunition because it justifies, especially after what happened.
Yeah, but it didn't happen like that. You see? He's right, though, but it didn't happen like that. Because I think that conservatives are starting to understand the landscape of the political environment that we are currently living. We're not living in 2016. We're past that. We're dealing with people that they cannot condemn violence, they cannot condemn bad speech, they cannot condemn a lot of the stuff. So by throwing these texts or these messages, they usually conservatives will cave, but not this case, not during this case. And when I saw the text myself, I was like, I don't care about this. I really don't care about this. I don't care what people from Montana, some young conservative from Montana had to say in a stupid private chat. I have no concern. That does not affect my livelihood. Well, illegal immigration does. Illegal immigration does. Keeping the inflation down. Make sure that the gas is low, the prices are low. That does affect my livelihood. Not some weird message in a telegram.
Happened not just that Charlie Kirk was shot, but that so many of the left-wing people were punished for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. I mean, read the room. So if this story is true, then that means Gavin Wax is a traitor to his generation, to young white men, to right-wingers, to free speech, all of it. And of course, it should not be lost on anybody who Gavin Wax is. And, listen, I've talked to Gavin Wax before. I think I have. I'm not a fan of the guy. And, people have said, he likes you, he wants to meet you, this sort of thing. But at the end of the day, guy's Jewish. And not only that, it's not just that, okay? Which is,
Bro,
people might say, well.
Yo, come on. This is where he gets a little lost, man. This is where he gets a little lost, I'm telling you.
He's part of the Zionist Organization of America. Isn't he sent up to be in the World Zionist Congress in some kind of position? The guy's deeply embedded in pro-Israel politics. That's no coincidence. Think about the time and place. He's from New York City, Jewish.
Hey, probably. You say, yeah, probably. That's what you need to do to... Hey, man, we respect your donation. I'm okay with that, But thank you so much, Jackass.
President of the New York Young Republicans. He's sent up for a position. I think it's either the ZOA or the WJC. I'm not making that up. He's either a delegate for the ZOA or the WJC or the WZO, World Zionist Organization or Zionist Organization of America. I didn't do my research before the show. And this was something else that I saw earlier, either this year or last year. He's with Chuck Schumer, the senator from New York, a Democrat, honoring his grandma, who he says was a Holocaust survivor. Now, for context, the grandma was in Italy in the 1940s. That's a Holocaust survivor now? So go figure. Gavin Wax, the provocative, plucky chair of the New York Young Republicans, which is a pretty edgy club. I mean, they host a gala every year, and that's all these people fucking talk about. No offense to them, but all the NYYRC.
Yeah, I agree. Individual, jewelry people are fine. And to be honest, people need to just be careful with this type of conversation, because a lot of these folks, they're congruent with our civilization. They have to understand this. They're congruent with our civilization. And us Americans, we have to be more aware of what's going on. That's it. But yeah, some of these folks are good. The jewelry people, they're good. Now, I personally have some weird experience back when I used to live in New York City, personally. But I do believe they're more congruent with our civilization, and you want to get into that. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of nuance to a lot of this. There's a lot of more inside baseball that we can get into it. But jewelries tend to be more congruent with our civilization. But I just don't understand why Nick also has to just go pro Hamas, pro Gaza, all that stuff. I just don't get it, man. That's one of the few things that we disagree on.
Talk about is how, Jeremy Fragrance went to the fucking club one year, and it's like no one's ever heard of the end of it. But anyway, that's the kind of like an inside joke. But so he's at this club. It's a pretty edgy club. Like Steve Bannon goes to their thing. Some of the rhetoric's a little edgy. And he's with the Senate minority leader, former Senate majority leader of the Democrats.
That's bad, yeah.
Another Jew from New York, Chuck Schumer, honoring his grandma, who he claims was in the Holocaust. She's from Italy. She's a Jew from Italy. She was in Italy during the Holocaust. And I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. That is kind of weird. You know a little bit of history. That's kind of weird.
They posted it. It's like Chuck Schumer, Gavin Wax, and Gavin Wax's grandma. And my first thought is, that's a Holocaust survivor now? At least the other survivors could say, like, we went to an actual camp, Not to be glib, but it's like, at least you could say there's some plausible, okay, maybe you were there, maybe, who knows? Were you one of the ones that really got operated on by Mengele or whatever? She was in Italy. That's the Holocaust now? Majority leader, former Senate majority leader for the Democrats.
Oh, my bad.
So where's the partisan, where's the factional dispute there? And so I saw that and I said, yeah, I don't care what anybody says. I don't like this guy. I don't trust this guy. It'd be one thing if he was just Jewish. Look, it's New York. A lot of Jews live there. A lot of Jews on the board of the NYYRC. It is what it is.
Brooklyn.
But he's a delegate for Zionist organizations. He's meeting up with Chuck Schumer. He's doing the whole Holocaust grift. And then, surprise, surprise, he's throwing all of his compatriots under the bus to get back over the student council president election for the Young Republicans. Aren't you a little old for that, pal? Don't you have a job at the State Department? Like, why do you need that? So if that story is true, and I don't know that it is 100%. I've heard a few different versions of the story, but that's the one that sounds convincing to me. Dude, this guy has to be expelled from everything. Like, he should be the one that should get canceled. Because I think we all recognize, whatever the disputes, factional disputes within the right wing, the left literally wants us dead. We know that after Charlie Kirk was killed, and before people flip out, whether you believe that Charlie Kirk was killed by a leftist or not, it does not change the fact that leftists celebrated. So what does that tell us? Whether Charlie was killed by the RNC or the Mormon Mafia or Israel or whatever, okay?
Doesn't matter.
All, potential suspects. The left celebrated regardless.
And that's the point that a lot of conservatives don't get. I just don't understand. They just they love to go to the conspiracy rabbit hole. And listen, I'm a very conspiratorial guy. I'm very conspiratorial guy to, 9/11 to Connecticut conspiracy. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I'm very deep into that. However, I do recognize the conservatives tend to get out of focus easily. Very easy. Charlie Kirk got deleted. And 12 hours after getting deleted, conspiracy theorists have to jump in and just go right into, talk about the jewelries. Like, this is insane. Insane. Jackass Whiskey said, I just got my statement from GE. Now GE Aerospace share price is 301. I was buying at $6. Whoa, man. Yo, wow. That is very good, man. That is very good. Hey, congratulations. That's a very good return on ROI. Wow, that's very good. Very good.
Made action figures, T-shirts. They
Very good.
danced,
That's
they
a very good
laughed.
ROI. Wow.
Maliciously, they crashed the vigils. That's who they are. And Charlie Kirk was to the left of all of us.
Very good, Jackass.
He was probably to the left of NYYRC, almost everybody in there. Left of all the Groupers, everyone in the group chat. And they wanted him dead for his views.
Yeah, that's it.
And so, like I said, read the room. If you're feeding your fellow Gen Z, white, pro-America compatriots to the left on the basis that they are racist Nazis for saying the N-word, you're worse than the left. Like, you're worse than the enemy. You're a traitor. Who could ever trust this guy ever again? Where's the discretion?
Yeah. Because even the good people, they're not going to trust him because he will have a tendency of what? Of trading their own. It's a weird thing, right?
It doesn't exist. And this is where, I saw some responses. I was actually pleasantly surprised. J.D. Vance came to the defense of these guys.
Correct. Nick Fuentes is wrong on this. The official story makes no sense and it's collapsing. Meaning?
And masterfully flipped it around on the left.
What do you mean?
And honestly, I think that's cynical. I think that J.D. Vance knows the right things to say, and he knows that that's like the optical thing to do, because I think he's a very skilled politician.
Buy and hold.
Regardless, I give him credit.
I think that's the way to go. Yeah, buy and hold. Ain't that's not. Yeah,
I appreciate that. That needs to be said. That's good that he, in his stature, is saying this. He came out and said, there's a candidate running in Virginia for a statewide office who says that Republicans should die. Nobody in the RNC group chat or the YR group chat said that. And if they did, they're joking around. They're making jokes. They're being silly. They don't think anybody's watching. So we all know you code switch. I don't think that's malicious. When you're in private, you say things that are edgy. I know that's like hard for people to believe. You say things that are only understood within the context of who you're with. Everybody knows that's a joke. These are young Republicans. They want to cut taxes, They're not actually unironic exterminationists, national socialists. And when you're with friends, you get comfortable. You know that they understand it as a joke. You're not airing that out on the front page of Politico. You don't intend for that to happen. And so J.D. Vance turned it around and said, look, you got some knucklehead kids. Yeah, they're in college. These are young kids joking around in a group chat. Meanwhile, you got people that are actually trying to take over the government that want conservatives to die. And conservatives are being murdered, and they like that. So I thought that was great. But I will say that another reaction came from Matt Walsh. And I replied to one of Matt Walsh's tweets. He said, after Charlie died, I said that we need to unify. And everybody basically told me no. He said, but we don't understand that the left is trying to ruin our lives, blah, blah, blah. But I said, look, Matt, I said, and I don't know, when he said that he wanted the right to unify, I don't know if he was referring to me. And maybe he was, and maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was intending for me to be one of the people he wanted to extend the olive branch to. I'm open to that. If he texted me privately, I'd be very discreet and down low about it. I wouldn't tell anybody that he's a closeted groiper or something or whatever, or a fan of the show. But I said, look, it's really hard.
You have to admit that Nick Fuentes has moved the needle a little bit for conservatives not to be scared. I have to admit that.
For anybody to unify with you, Matt, because you work with Ben Shapiro, Andrew Klavan, and Jordan Peterson. And they are all in the pocket of Israel. And we know that these people, they hate us. Like anyone that is not down with Israel, they actually hate. And like, it's not a Christian thing where it's like, we love our enemies. No, like they want us dead. Just like the left wants us dead, Shapiro wants us dead.
I don't think that's true, man. Ben Shapiro, once you delete it, I don't think about that. No autopsy. Oh man, I forgot how to read that. Yet the original story on how he escaped is being challenged. The published documents have not been independently substantiated yet. Let's see. You might, I don't know. You might be correct there. You're right. The autopsy. Man, I forgot how to say that word. Yeah, autopsy hasn't been released. I don't think that they have none so far. That they just went through it kind of quick. I do agree with that. But I think it might be a psyop as well. See, you can throw this, and you can play these things kind of interesting. It could be a psyop to get conservatives out of focus as well, and go to this rabbit hole of jewelries and people with the hat and Middle East instead of focusing what's going on in this country. Think about this. If we really focus on what's going on in the demographic of the United States, it will be so much. Trump will just basically achieve his agenda quick. But I think the conservatives are too focused on these type of psyops. Everything could be a psyop, to be honest, at this point.
Even wants us dead. And think about the way they talk about us. They call us filth, garbage. Like it's they can barely conceal. It's like a seething contempt and hatred. And so I look at someone like Matt Walsh, and he kind of sounds like the white guy in the story with Gavin Wax, where it's like, yeah, maybe you're okay. And
okay, Jackass with the super chat said, got my statement from Region Financial. I bought in hell. Went down to $2 for those dark days. Now it's 26. Still losing money. Yeah, you're probably. I'm not a good trader. I suck at it. But I'm glad that you're doing your own stuff, man. That's very good. And you say anti-white YouTube threat. It is weird. It's a such big event that even the president cares about. And yet we know nothing yet. Yeah,
I think Matt Walsh's intentions are good.
Correct.
But who's down the hall and to the left? It's Shapiro, who ruins people's lives. It's Klavan, who would do the same. It's Jordan Peterson, who said, I'm lower than a rat.
Damn.
And it's like, I'm sorry. I would like to unify with you, and I'd like to think you're a good guy, but I can't actually unite with you as long as you're mobbed up with that crew, who are very similar in that way to Gavin Wax. And so it's sort of, I have the same message for Walsh, for anybody, for the Trump voters. It's we need to start taking our own side.
Yeah, those are, I'm just reading here from 2026, man. That's a very good ROI as well.
And recognizing that you just can never get too comfortable around these people, because on some level, you don't even know, is the real reason that Gavin Wax leaked the group chat? Did he do that on the order of the Zionist lobby?
It could be.
They must know they have a Groyper problem. These guys I don't know. But Groypers are all over the government, and everyone knows that. There's Groypers at Harvard. There's Groypers in all the Ivy League schools. I talk to all of them. There's Groypers in government. There's Groypers in every department, every agency. Okay.
Yeah, but he has to be careful. You're saying that he's being hyperbolic, but you have to be careful. Because we blame the left for using very heavy language as well, but he has to be careful. Saying that Ben Shapiro want him deleted, if that's not the case, I would not be use that language.
Okay, and I almost wonder if this was an operation to try to start to roll that back. You don't know, and I would suspect that I'm probably not far off the mark on that. So. It's just another message that these people are not really on our side. Anyone's a delegate for the ZOA. I don't care how based they sound. I don't care if they told you they're going to be your friend forever. All roads lead to Rome. Maybe they said, oh, we're going to be friends forever. Guys, we'll be friends forever, right? All roads lead to Rome. No, actually, that's not the case, especially with them. This is what they do. And here's the last thing I'll say about it before I move on. Of course, I did a viral clip last week, I think on Friday, where I said that I want the Groypers to infiltrate the system. I want them to go to highly selective schools. I want them to infiltrate the top law firms, the biggest businesses, defense contractors, the security state. And a lot of people clowned on me for that. And now people are saying, well, this is what happens when you infiltrate. I would say to that, and by that I mean they said, well, look, Nick said to infiltrate. These are the fruits of infiltration.
You're saying, yeah, it could be. I find it suspicious that all the right-wing normies platforms and even left-wing ones are inviting Nick to talk. They, listen, I was looking at the Google Trends and Google search. He's being searched daily. A lot. So probably some of these folks, they just want some of that traffic. And don't get me wrong, I'm taking advantage of that as well. However, I do have a goal here. The goal here is to understand where our movement is moving, where the different factions of our movement are moving. Manosphere, traditional conservatives, right-wing conservatives, Groypers, red pillars. Where are we moving with this? Who's, I do think there's bigger fish to fry. I think feminism is one of those. I think we had to focus on this. We need to talk about our judges, female empowered. It seems like, especially in North Carolina, the judges and the mayors are female, and they're just allowing criminals to just going crazy. That's where we need to focus. That is more practical. That's something that we can reach on, Yeah, you're saying I don't trust Nick. I don't trust Nick at all. He switched up on everything. I don't know what he switched on, but you have to tell me what statement he switched on. I don't know.
It doesn't work. I would say on that point, to build upon what I said on Friday.
You have to be more specific.
This is why I tell people, hide your power level. Okay?
Dragon Ball
You're not hiding your power level if you're in a group chat with hundreds of people saying we're going to put people in gas chambers. Okay, guys?
That's stupid.
Now, I know it's funny, and I joke around like that on my show, and I'm very cavalier about it, and maybe I'm setting a bad example. But if you are in the Young Republicans, and I'm speaking to you, if you're in college Republicans, if you are in the administration, if you're in a high position, you can't be putting this in writing. You can't. I'm not going to say don't ever joke, but look, Signal, Telegram, let's put the disappearing messages timer on. Let's not put this in writing. Let's just not go there. If you're going to hide your power level, if you're going to be a ninja, you can't go blasting off in everybody's faces.
Correct. You can't do that, man.
You can't be blasting off with all this kind of stuff in a giant group chat in writing with your real face. Okay, we can't, that's not good OPSEC. It's not a good idea. You can't do it. And you'd be surprised. I've had this talk with a lot of people, and I tell them, this is big boy stuff, okay? Time to put on the big boy pants. We got to grow out of that stuff. And I get it.
You're saying that he's flip-flopping or switching positions in Palestine or on race, on what he wants for America. Yeah, that's still kind of broad. You have to be a little bit more specific, Be a little bit more specific to see what you mean by that.
It's tough. People want that release. It's difficult. When you're infiltrating the system, you have to wear a mask. And you have to assume an identity. It's a spy game. It's tough, especially for young guys. They want that release. They want to be able to be authentic, especially me. I mean, I've fought a very difficult battle to be myself. But when you're doing that, it's so risky. The other thing I'll say about it, though, is that it's not the end of the road for them. For anybody that says, oh, this proves infiltration doesn't work, I would say in any war, there's battles, and in every battle, you move up and down the battlefield.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
And this is just what happens. It's attrition, Over time, there's this swarm. Young men, all young men are getting red-pilled. All young men are talking like this, okay, unless they're gay. Even some of the gay ones are talking like, according to J.D. Vance, there's like normal gay guys apparently that are talking like this, okay? Everyone's talking like this. Every under 30 young white man is, even left-wing ones are joking like this. Trust me. And it is just jokes. Political correctness is dead. Wokeness is over. Okay. Comedy has been legalized. We have legalized comedy. We're all talking like this. Where was I going with this? I totally lost my, because of that awesome joke. Comedy got legalized. Everyone's talking like this. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. And so, look, this is happening everywhere, okay? Everyone's paying attention to this. Everyone's paying attention to the conversation being changed. And every generation of Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Princeton alum is going to graduate a good amount of groypers. And a good amount of them, no one knows who they are. I don't know them. They're not involved in anything. They're just keeping it to themselves. And eventually they're going to become very powerful. Mm-hmm. And along the way, yeah, some of them are going to get their spot blown up, and some of them are going to get canceled, and some of them are going to get fired. But that is just the name of the game. And here's something. It's sort of like that survivorship bias kind of diagram. It's like, maybe that doesn't apply here. I have to think about it to really understand that. But if infiltration was useless or unnecessary, why would they be doing this? Why is it that some of these like left-wing journalists and others, why do you think, and this Politico guy that wrote this piece, this guy's been sniffing around that scene for a long time. Why do you think they're so up everybody's ass if infiltration didn't matter, if they weren't concerned? Why do you think they're panicking and mobilizing and freaking out and trying to frame the groypers for killing Charlie Kirk? It's because they don't want to graduate a new generation of future elites who are not beholden to Israel, who are not woke, whatever. It's because it works. And so just because you lose a battle, or even you get pushed back on the battlefield, it doesn't mean you give up the war. It doesn't mean you give up the fight. And I saw some people saying that. I thought that was really petty and kind of pathetic, that people use this as an opportunity to like score points. It's like, no, these guys were doing a great thing. These guys are, they're not woke, they're based, and they're doing what they're supposed to be. They're rising up in the party leadership. They're rising up in the government. The mistake that they made is that they were sloppy. They were careless, they were sloppy. And,
there we go.
And I'm assuming these are...
That is true. If you are texting, you're chatting, in a lot of these forums, you have to be careful what you're saying. You have to be careful because it's easy to carry away. You start building trust and bond with those folks that are with you, but you don't know who's watching. You don't know who is there to make sure they can take you down. You're not sure where's your enemy, because your enemy, you don't feel your enemies to be close, so therefore you get careless. You cannot be writing stuff like this. And Twitter, I guess it's okay because, man, Twitter is crazy. Twitter is crazy. Twitter is worse than those text messages. I think that's why it didn't do anything. It was just a fallout. It was not that big of a deal. But even though that's the case, be careful.
Jokes. I mean, and I do just want to clarify, because it is worth saying on the record, this is just how young kids talk, okay?
Yeah,
it is
common.
Jokes. To the extent, if these guys are not joking and they're unironic, they want to kill everybody, then obviously I don't support that. This is the language of Generation Z. This is the language of a generation that was told for 10 years, everything's racist, everything's whatever. And this is just how they speak. Most of these guys are Catholic, Christian. They're just patriots. They want what's best for the country. Then they just go home and they make edgy jokes with each other because it's transgressive. It's what young people do. I mean, if that even needs to be said, it should be said for the, like I said, just on the record. But because, and that's why I really have an axe to grind now with Gavin Wax. This and a lot of these other things, just trust me on this, well, and it's just logical. They're going to run stuff like this up the flagpole and they're going to use it to beat us to death.
Nah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
And on the establishment right. They're going to use stuff like this to scaremonger and fearmonger. Even this show, for example. And they're going to say, Generation Z are all Nazis. This is how they talk when no one's looking. They're hiding their true evil intent. And that's why they have to be stopped at any means necessary. And no doubt, the left is radicalizing Tyler Robinson to go and kill people like this. And they're mobilizing their base to go and vote in the next election because they think Trump represents all this. And the end goal then is to pass laws to literally hurt us and destroy our lives, to throw us in jail, people like you, me, people like those named in the article, and then oppress everybody, you know, and like punish us with immigration and the rest of it. So, you know, for Gavin Wax to do that, you know, maybe it could get away with that 10 years ago.
But not
that
now.
kind of bullshit was very common. That's just politics. Shame on the people that were involved for being so sloppy and careless. Like, it's everybody does it, but you really shouldn't. It's just irresponsible because you're there on a mission. You're a spy.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. I'm glad that Nick Fuentes is calling this out. You know, you should not be careless, especially when you're in politics. When you're in politics, you should not be careless. You should be in a position of making sure that you go through this and thinking about the goal. The goal is to make sure we can just go back to a more secure America, a more secure Western world. Jackass with the $5 super chat says, my online presence is the same as offline presence. It's pretty easy that way. I realize that I am boring. Well, if you're with me here, you're not boring, man. If you're in this chat and you're with me in this live, you're not boring, my friend.
But really, fuck Gavin Wax.
You're a cool cat.
Everybody needs to like text him
for the
and
super
say,
chat.
hey, fuck you, man. If you know him, if you have his number, if you're in politics, you have an obligation to say, hey, man, fuck you, if this story's true. Because it's like you have betrayed everybody. And, you know, thanks for proving the stereotype, too, by the way. So, I mean, I will have nothing to do with anyone who's involved with him. I'm not going to hang out with somebody that leans on people and threatens litigation.
That's crazy, man.
Allegedly. Threatening litigation to get the text messages. I'm going to tell on you to Politico because you made a joke. Because I didn't win student council president in the Young Republicans. Like, fuck you, dude. F you. Total dirtbag. So, you know, and maybe I'll be eating these words later if there's proof that this is not him. But I very strongly suspect that is the case, even though it's alleged. And I will get to the bottom of it. But if that's true, like, no quarter for traitors like that. Disgusting.
You have to be careful.
Filth. No surprises either. I would not even be the slightest. I would not be surprised in the slightest if that was his doing, because that's how these people are. And by these people, I don't mean Jews. That's not a dog whistle. I mean these like Zionist Jewish types. They will do anything for Israel, and in particular, these like. You got to understand something about government. The government is filled, like, I hate to say it, I really do, but John Doyle's kind of right that the Washington, D.C. and the Republican Party and the administration, it is filled to the brim with like stunted, arrested development, losers from high school. And the second that they get a committee assignment in the GOP, the second they get a head pat from the government, they cannot wait to exaggerate their importance, cannot wait to flex their administrative powers that are at their discretion. And literally, they all think that they're the man. Like every Republican staffer, intern, you know, wannabe, they all think that they're the man, and they want to go and swing their, you know, big you-know-what around the city. And that's just prototypical. And if you're in D.C., you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like these Washington, D.C. creatures, and that's what Gavin Wax is, running the NYYRC. Complete climber, striver, you know, wannabe student council president, wannabe factotum, or Miranda Cosgrove from School of Rock. And that's just so typical to like not see the big picture. And him being a Zionist Jew, that plays a part too. But anyway, so that's that. I want to move on. I want to talk about this story in the Washington Post, which I'll pull up.
So let me know in the comment section in the chat, what do you guys think about that that inside baseball on Nick Fuente when it comes down to you know, the chat in itself? I would like to know you guys' opinion. Jax Wiz with the $5 super chat said, I like words, but try not to swear. Dropping F-bombs shows a lack of intelligence. I like that too. Don't get me wrong, I can swear like a drunken sailor. Yeah, you know what's crazy? And you're right, actually. Dropping a lot of swear words, a lot of F-bombs, a lot of stuff. shows a lack of character. I'm not saying that if you drop out one F word here and there is wrong. I'm not saying that. But doing it a lot, it is a problem. It just shows that you don't have the intelligence to just have a normal conversation without having emotions involved. And listen, I'm not I don't swear a lot. I swear very little. I would say like during my week, let's just count the seven days in a week, I would swear like 0.1% or something like that, 0.5. Very, 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 very rare. So I'm not that type of guy that like to swear. I'm very rare. I will swear.
This is another big story. Not cool.
Thank you so much for the super side, Jackass.
Switching gears a little bit, we covered the Gaza peace plan all last week. And so much fanfare and so much pomp and triumphalism surrounding this deal. I'm sure you all saw Trump's speech at the Israeli Knesset. What the fuck was that? I mean, he goes up there. Like, you can't even overstate, you can't even exaggerate how ridiculous, like what a folly this was. So last Monday, was it really only just been a week? Maybe it was more than a week. Trump and Netanyahu come together for the fourth time this year in America. They hold a press conference and they present this 20-point plan for peace in Gaza. And over the ensuing week, Trump really nails Netanyahu down and gets him to agree to a first phase implementing the 20-point plan. And this consists in a ceasefire, a partial withdrawal from the IDF, and a prisoner exchange. Hamas gives up the remaining hostages. Israel frees, I think it's about 1,500 Palestinian hostages or prisoners. All the Zionists got mad that people are calling them hostages. I don't know. They seem like hostages to me. But anyway, so they implement the deal, and Trump flies out to Israel to speak at the Israeli Knesset, their parliament, their legislature.
You asking me if I have live Discord streams? I don't. I'm new Discord. I don't know how this thing works. I don't have even the member capacity to do so. If I did, I will probably do like a members Discord live. I don't know how to do this. I'm just new to Discord. And, slowly we're getting there, I guess. We only have 2 people. But it's something that I would like to do in the future. Talk with my members, talk with my audience, and have a more one-on-one of just group sessions with them as well, and discuss more like American politics. I would like to just get more into the Constitution and enforcement of it. Because I think what we're missing in politics, personally, I think it's the muscle of exercising what we call the Constitution, the muscle. I personally think that that's something that we have to discuss, because their politicians are simply a reflection of their voters. That's what it is. And, if you do, I will show up. Of course, man. Of course. That's the momentum that we're heading. Hopefully, with a lot of these videos that I'm posting, we can increase the members in the Discord.
And then flies to Egypt to sign the deal with the House of Al Thani from Qatar, with the Egyptian president, with Erdogan from Turkey. I think Maloney was there, Starmer was there, everybody was there. Trump goes to Israel to give this speech, and the glazing was like, it's a level of glazing that shouldn't even be possible. He goes up there and says, no one went to the White House more than the Adelsons. He said, and I asked Miriam Adelson, which do you love more, America or Israel? And she wouldn't answer. It's like, they're just giving it away. They're just saying it now. And Shapiro, or somebody, I think it was an Israeli reporter from one of the Israeli television stations, said that the head of the dais, I don't know which official it was, but the head of the dais in the parliament put on his yarmulke because it was a religious experience. There's some Israeli reporter said, in 20 years of reporting on the Knesset, I've never seen anything like this. People were putting on their yarmulkes, which they don't even do normally. He said, and they put on the yarmulke to show religious reverence for Trump and what he was saying in the speech. Okay, this is what, I'm not even exaggerating, that's what they said. And then in the middle of the speech, Trump, unscripted, says to the president of Israel, which is different than Netanyahu, He says to the president of Israel, you should pardon Netanyahu. He's a war hero. He knows how to win. That's why everyone loves him. And you need to give him a pardon, like seriously. Okay? And Netanyahu is happy as a clam. Like, this guy could not be happier. Happy as a clam. So this is a speech that Trump gives at the Knesset. It's a religious experience for the Jews. He's their Messiah. Then Trump flies to Egypt and signs the deal. And so far, so good. It looks like Hamas is giving up the 20 remaining living hostages. Israel's preparing to give up some of the prisoners. And what's really interesting is now some of these Muslim countries are disavowing Hamas. And October 7th, Mahmoud Abbas, who is the head of the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, he condemned October 7th for the first time. And there's some reporting that says that Hamas is laying down their weapons.
I
haven't seen that verified, but if that's true, it does seem that maybe this peace plan has some legs. I was very skeptical. And just very briefly, in a nutshell, my problem with the peace plan is that they didn't agree to all of it yet. Okay, they're implementing it in phases. The parts that they have not agreed upon are really the root causes of the conflict. It's whether there'll be a Palestinian state. It's whether Hamas will disarm and leave. It's whether Israel will retain security control over the Strip. Like, these are all things that have been the root problems. These have been kind of the source of the intransigence.
What do you mean that you meant that being combat? Like, mean like veterans that have experience with combat, meaning that they went and they served? Let me know in the comment section
from the very beginning. So in other words, if there was no agreement on this in January of this year, in May of last year, in November of 23, why is there suddenly agreement on this now? And so I suspected that this, like every other ceasefire, was just Israel buying time to get a reprieve for their reserve forces, to maybe refocus on another adversary in the theater, a different theater in the conflict, like Iran, or even the Houthis for that matter, or disarming Hezbollah. Like, take your pick. Like, they're temporarily pausing in Gaza so they could go and focus on the other guys, give the ground forces a breather, and then go back in later, absent a commitment to implement a longer-term deal. But some of what's being said has surprised me. And like I said, Abbas disavowing October 7th, some reporting that says Hamas is ready to disarm. It seems like...
You're saying I was a medic in the 3ID deployed to Iraq, was a combat and got the CMB. Yes, and I do agree. Yeah, that's what I was getting to. If you have, how can I say it? It's just come down. This will be a different conversation from the content that we're reacting, but it has to do with the Constitution, by the way. I think which amendment is, let's see, the 19th Amendment is the right for women to vote. The 19th Amendment, I think it's the 17th, right? Let's see. The 17th Amendment, Polish. Describe now. What amendment give the right to vote? Let's see. I think it's the 15th Amendment, right? And in 1870. I think that amendment was a mistake because we're just giving people that have no contribution to the nation a position of a saying, which is a problem. The IDF, they have Ilan. IDF, what is that?
Maybe it really is over. I mean, who knows? But then I saw the story today in the Washington Post, and you've got Donald Trump saying that if Hamas does not voluntarily disarm, if they don't give up their weapons and leave the Strip, Trump says that the United States will violently disarm them. And I'll read the story, then we'll explain the significance. It says, President Trump said Tuesday that the United States could step in to disarm Hamas quickly and perhaps violently if the organization does not do so itself. He said, which is a potential vulnerability in the U.S.-brokered ceasefire agreement that has tentatively brought an end to 2 years of war between Israel and Hamas. Hamas, which has controlled Gaza for nearly 2 decades, has not yet publicly agreed to or signed anything specifying how it will disarm, although Trump suggested that he had received verbal assurances that they would. He said, everyone says, oh, well, they won't disarm. They will disarm, he said. And I spoke to Hamas and I said, you're going to disarm, right? Yes, sir, we're going to disarm. That's why they told me they will disarm or we will disarm them. Got it? Trump declined to provide specifics on how the United States would do that, and when asked about a deadline, said it would be a reasonable period of time.
You have to, but Nick, you have to do this in phases. Because then, if you don't do this in phases, you're not guaranteed security. If you do this like one step and that's it, I think it's more likely that even Hamas or Israel is going to start attacking each other again. You have to create a momentum where you have other parties enforcing those phases, and that way just get momentum.
He's just like an NPC. It literally is like a dialogue tree, right? They said, sir, how many times have you heard Trump, like he retells a story, and in every story, the people are saying, sir, sir. Like every story starts with another person talking to Trump and respectfully addressing him. Sir, sir. Hamas said, do you really think Hamas said that? Were they even speaking English? Like, what are you talking about? And then, what's the deadline? A reasonable period of time. Like, no one's ever seen. It's just like.
Did Israel has already attacked them since the ceasefire? Meaning the first ceasefire or this one? The money for Hamas has dried up, yeah. And Hamas, so yes, Hamas is not oh my goodness, Hamas is not a nice guy either. So we should not even, I don't know, like, I understand a lot of people don't like the people from the hats or the jewelries, but we should not be just pretending here that Hamas is a good guy. Like this guy is still deleting his own people.
NPC response, it's just like a sound box, right?
Really, the last one? Really attacked? Really?
You press the button, you just get the same things. Anyway, he says, I don't have to explain that to you. Love it. But if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games. Later, he went on a tangent that suggested he believed Hamas could not yet disarm because the group needed to take out a couple of gangs that were very bad. He said, we have told them we want them to disarm, and they will disarm, and if they don't disarm, we will disarm them, and it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently, but they strongly and powerfully, and we're monitoring.
Yeah, I think you're
he says,
right.
But they will disarm. Do you understand me? Now, why does this matter?
Yeah.
Of course, this is ultimately what the war is actually about. The war, why did Hamas attack Israel? It's simple. Hamas attacked Israel because of a deal that was in the works between Israel and Saudi Arabia. What does Trump do in his first term? He and Jared Kushner facilitate the Abraham Accords, which is a diplomatic breakthrough. Prior to Trump's first administration, Israel had normalized relations with just two countries in the Middle East, Egypt and Jordan, by treaty. At Camp David in 79, in Jordan, I think in 93, both by treaty. Every other country, with the exception of Turkey, which recognized them almost immediately in 48, every other country from Morocco all the way through to Pakistan does not recognize Israel's existence, its right to exist, does not have normal diplomatic, economic relations with them. They have some like clandestine cooperation, like in the Gulf, for example, but none of them had normal relations. And this is really the crux of the whole Israel-Middle East conflict, is that Israel is here, and they're, some might say trying to integrate into the region, but it's a hostile region. You could argue they're not really integrating, they're trying to dominate, but the point is, how do you resolve this problem? The Israelis arrive, they displace the natives. Every other country goes to war against them, right? And there's debates about who provoked who, but needless to say, there's this perpetual enmity.
Correct. I agree with that. He's very good with geopolitics. He's very good. He follows very nicely. When I grow up, I would like to just talk like him. That's for sure. That's for sure. He's very good at just keeping his pace. He doesn't stutter. He's very good. And by the way, breaking news: John Bolton got indicted of 18 federal charges.
between them and
Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about that. That's crazy.
every other country. Every other country does not accept their presence in the region, and they call them an illegitimate regime. They call it an occupation, the Zionist occupation regime, because they fundamentally reject that the Jews have sovereignty over the territory, which they believe is Palestine. Anyway, this is really at the heart of all of it on some level. So Trump gets in, and he brokers the Abraham Accords, and he bribes, effectively, he bribes Morocco and Sudan and Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates to normalize their relations with Israel. And it's a huge breakthrough because nobody thought this could be done. Why do these countries not normalize relations with Israel? Because of the Israel-Palestine conflict, because they believe that Israel is not a legitimate state, has no legitimate claim to the land. They committed the Nakba, they occupy the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Some of them think they got to go altogether. Some of them think they need to return to the pre-67 borders. There's a lot, but they fundamentally, they will not recognize Israel as legitimate sovereign over the territory because of the Israel-Palestine conflict. As such, they cannot have any normal relationship, no strategic relationship, economic relationship, diplomatic relationship, and nothing official, formal on the books. So this is a huge breakthrough. And Trump brings over the Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan, Morocco. And one of the big things this opens up is the opportunity for the Gulf countries, which are rich in oil and have this facility, the petrodollar system. They have all this cash. They can start to invest their sovereign wealth funds into Israel.
So we have a Jackass $10 super chat. Trump can say everything he has said and use force if it comes to that, because Trump has made friends with all the rich and powerful leaders in the region. Yeah, that's a great point, by the way. And this is something that I think, if I'm understanding correctly, Trump, at the end of the day, what Trump has, and he understands, is the power of force. And before he became president, he became friends with a lot of these people. And this is something that we have to give time. We have to give time to this to really just unfold and just get to the right place. Trump is a smart guy. I've never seen a president to work so hard like him, and very smart. Trump is a smart guy. He just thrives of fixing problems. And that's why I'm not even worried about what he's doing. There's a lot of panicking in Twitter. There's a lot of panicking. Like, not everything that he's going to do is going to be liked by the conservative movement, but you have to give him credit that he just at least have the ball moving. Thank you so much for the super chat, Jackass.
And Jared Kushner is at the forefront of this. He brokers the deal with his connections to Israel and the Gulf. And Kushner makes a fortune when the sovereign wealth funds of the Gulf countries begin to pour their capital into Israel. And then what does this point towards? Really like a new model and like a new approach to peace in the Middle East. And fundamentally what changes is Trump circumvents the Israel-Palestine conflict. The old way of thinking about this is that in order for Israel to be integrated in the region, we got to solve Israel-Palestine, which is intractable. It's impossible. So until this impossible problem is solved, like, we can't fix the Middle East. Trump says, forget it. Like, let's just bribe these countries. Let's just give them what they want. And, they'll just kind of abandon the Palestinian cause, basically. That's the root of the problem. Now, the Abraham Accords point towards Saudi Arabia recognizing Israel, leaving the Palestinian question unresolved. And so under Trump, they start to work on this. And then under Biden, they really go to work. And Biden even goes to Saudi Arabia for other reasons. He wanted them to increase oil production, but Biden's really pushing for Saudi Arabia to recognize Israel and offering a defense guarantee, like a NATO-like security guarantee to Saudi Arabia, weapons packages. Like, they're bribing Saudi Arabia to normalize relations with Israel. And if this happens, and this was almost on the way to completion in August of 2023, so this is 2 months before October 7th, and the Palestinians see what's happening. And what is happening is they're being boxed out. They're no longer going to have a seat at the table. Whereas before, all the Muslim countries were sort of ideologically rallied to the side of the Palestinian cause and holding up.
Paranoia agent saying Israel owns both sides. I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean owns both sides? Like own Palestine and Israel, but then they're just, I don't know. Try to tell me.
Israel's
I don't know what you mean
integration in the region, as long as Israel is occupying the territories. Now these countries are sort of selling out the Palestinians and saying, you know what, fuck the Palestinians. We want to invest in Israel. We want the bribes that America's going to give us. Because America's really going to come through for us. They're going to protect us. They're going to give us weapons. Then we get to work with Israel, and we're really going to be stable and safe and have prosperity, and our problems are going to go away. So the Palestinians are being treated sort of.
All right, Jackass Whiskey with another $5 super chat. Is Trump's raising the trees? The tree, that's how you say that? It's dealing making. He likes the nitty-gritty of deals. Yeah, he likes that. He thrives on that. He's the perfect guy that we need for this. Democrats and Republican, yeah, we're not talking about that right now, man. The only thing they both agree is in submitting to Israel. Yeah, we're not talking about that right now. You have to keep it on topic. Yeah, Jackass, I think you have a great point on that. That's where Trump really thrives. He thrives in those very hard deals, and he's going to make it happen. And sometimes people don't understand this, but deals, when you're not getting what you want, you have to pull back. You have to pull back, and you have to just simply just walk out of the deal to make sure that deal can have a better outcome. I think that's the case of even Russia and Ukraine, and even a little bit of Israel. Yet Trump's deals have all failed. That's not true. Trump's deals have not all the deals have failed. I don't know what you're talking about.
Like an inconvenience and an afterthought. Now, if all of these Arab countries abandon.
No, he's talking about the Abrahamic Accord and how they're leaving Palestinian out of the equation, while the other Arab countries in Israel are trying to just make some deals without Palestine. Yeah, come on, let's have a deeper conversation.
Palestine becomes basically a problem for Israel only. And Israel can really handle it however they want. They don't have to worry about alienating anybody. They got them. So Israel can continue the settlements in the West Bank. Israel can continue the status quo in Gaza. And they're going to get Saudi Arabia and the Emirates and Bahrain and eventually every Syria, Lebanon. They're going to get all these countries normalizing, investing in Israel, and then it's up to them what they do to Palestine, and they're going to crush Palestine. So Hamas attacks Israel on October 7th to throw a wrench in the process. How? They go and commit these atrocities. They take hostages. They force Israel to come in really strong. And as long as Israel is brutally bombing Gaza, Saudi Arabia cannot make the deal because the people would revolt. These other governments cannot make the deal because the people would revolt. The Hamas effectively forces everybody back onto their side, forces them to take their side. If they open up a direct conflict with Israel, if they create this confrontation. That was really the playbook. And so, in any case, that's the root cause of the conflict from...
The trade deal with China collapsed, the 90 days trade deal failed, the deal with Taliban failed, etc. Yeah, but not all of them, and you have to give this time. Remember, politics is not only something about 90 days. You have to give this thing time. Think about our system of government, right? Our three branches of government. How slow it is, right? So if that way that it's slow, that's only a national process. Imagine international. It's gonna be slower. You have to give this thing time. It's like moving 1 inch at a time.
Like Hamas's point of view. Now, if Israel is going to maintain security control over the Strip, if there's no commitment for there to be a Palestinian state, if the war ends without those commitments, and then Israel makes peace with Saudi Arabia, and then Syria, Lebanon, Indonesia, Pakistan, and this is what's being discussed. On the heels of this peace conference, if you paid attention, Trump said, I think the Abraham Accords are going to go very quickly. And what are these other developments? Assad has been expelled from Syria, and someone tried to poison him in Russia. And what has come to power in Syria is a pro-Western government run by Ahmed al-Shara. He's kicked out the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and now he wants to make a deal with Israel and normalize. In Lebanon, the Lebanese government has voted to disarm Hezbollah, says there can be no paramilitary organization armed to the teeth on our soil, and the U.S. and Israel say we will implement this. After Israel neutralized Hezbollah in October of last year, they're saying we're going to complete the job, disarm them, and all that will be left is this like Lebanese rump state that Israel will dominate and effectively annex South Lebanon, south of the Litani River. They'll effectively annex southern Syria where the Druze live, the Purple Zone, all of it. The Golan is just gone. So you're going to have Syria come in on the side of Israel, Lebanon come in on the side of Israel, then probably Saudi Arabia, then maybe Pakistan and Indonesia. Now it's even worse. So in 23, you had Bahrain, the Emirates, Sudan, and Morocco. You maybe Saudi Arabia. Now you got all them plus Syria, plus Lebanon, plus Pakistan, plus Indonesia due to recent events, and the Palestinians will not have their state. In the 20-point plan, there's no commitment for a Palestinian state. It's by definition neocolonialism. And, I know that's a word used by third worldists, but it's what it is.
Well, it is what it is. It is what it is at this point. I'm sorry. I'm being truthful. It is what it is at this point. It seems like the two-state solution hasn't worked, right? If they want to, personally, I think I would just let them just have it. Like, just get Palestine and Israel, just, let them exchange some punches. But it seemed like the Palestinian situation, it needed to just end up like that. I don't care if it's neocolonialism. It seems like it needed to just end up like that. Because at the same thing, let's say you protect Gaza and you could Palestine, which did their life, right? Their life matter. Don't get me wrong. However, when you're even trying to help them, you're trying to just immigrate them to the Western world, they just start acting fool. I'm just gonna be completely honest. They start acting fool. They're not good people as well. At that point, you have to be logical with this, right? You cannot simply just go with Gaza's favor because you don't like Israel. That, for me, that really doesn't make sense. Does not make sense.
They say that Gaza will be run by a technocratic committee under basically a trust, which is owned by Trump and Tony Blair. And Israel will train up the security force. They're going to keep the Palestinian Authority out. Like, it's literally, this territory is going to be annexed effectively by America and Israel. And so here's the point.
Do you want it that? You want them to just keep being deleted, man. We cannot just afford them to be deleted either. So it has to be that, or just let the war continue.
Is Hamas going to now just give up their weapons and say, oh, well, we...
What's wrong with peace? Jackass Whiskey with another super chat. What's wrong with peace? Exactly. I don't think he wants the peace. So the peace, I'm all for the peace. But at the same time, when these countries like Gaza, Hamas started all this. So what are we supposed to do here? So Hamas started. So Israel should not defend themselves. So they should allow Hamas to just continue with the attack. Israel goes back in attack. It's like, I don't know, man. Palestinians don't want to leave Palestine. Israel who wants to send them to Europe. But don't want to leave Palestine. It's Israel who wants to send them to Europe. That's a good point too.
Tried it.
And also, why not? We have to negotiate them to send them to another country then. Hamas defended themselves. I guess when you're in the middle of war, yeah, you can say that.
So we're laying down our arms.
That's all you have. But they started it too.
And Israel and America are going to take over the Strip, and that's the end of Palestine. I find that very hard to believe. And that's why I think that this is a very tenuous peace plan, because I think that Trump says they committed to give up their arms. Like I said, there's been some surprises already. Maybe that's true, but that would fly in the face of both sides. Israel will never accept a Palestinian state on their border, so I don't see them settling for anything less than ethnic cleansing, and at the minimum, a denial of a Palestinian entity. And I don't see Hamas laying down their arms if there's no commitment to a Palestinian state, if there's no guarantee, and there isn't one. So all that would mean is that there's a mutual agreement on both sides. That
okay, even if you say that Hamas defended himself, even if you say that, are you okay with Hamas, the way Hamas is dealing with his own people? That he's literally just leading some of his folks right there in the middle of the street just to create terror. I mean, I'm not here to get one side or the other, but I can recognize a horror. Like, you don't have to like Israel, I understand. But don't pretend that what Hamas is doing is okay as well. These people are just something else. Like, what Hamas is doing in plain view is not okay either.
We're going to just defer
even
the
if you don't agree with Israel.
Hamas is just getting destroyed. Israel's bulldozing all the cities. And Israel is, their ground forces are reservists and they're tired. And they want to fight Iran for a little bit. So, the question is whether this is a breather for both sides or whether it's a definitive end. Now Trump is saying, well, look, Hamas said they're going to do it, but if they don't, I'm going to disarm them.
You have to. You have to show force. The only way you can just secure some of these treaty is with force. And we already know this from World War I and World War II. When Germany wanted to just take Poland, even though there's a treaty in place, nobody followed through with force. We end up in World War II. These treaties, you need to have some kind of force behind it. Otherwise, it's just a piece of paper.
And like I said, that's the part that I don't like. Maybe it's an idle threat. He makes a lot of those maximalist demands and threats that he really never follows through on. But look, you give Israel an inch, they take a mile. He said, we're going to make sure that Iran doesn't have nukes. And Israel said, okay, bet. We'll bomb.
Jackass Whiskey with Super Chat said, Hamas will have no arms. It takes money. Yeah, exactly. It takes money. Correct. It takes money. You have to disarm Hamas. You want to secure some of these pieces, you have to just disarm them. Right? And you need to have some kind of enforcement. Even if Israel break the deal or the agreement, there has to be some kind of enforcement behind that treaty. Otherwise, it's just a plain paper with no value behind it.
Oh, we're in trouble. Now you have to help us. So if Trump says, well, if they don't disarm, we're going to violently do it for them. Okay, so what do you think Netanyahu's next move is? Sabotage the peace deal, make Trump look like an asshole. Think about second, third order consequences. If the peace deal falls through, Trump looks like an absolute idiot. If the peace deal doesn't work for any reason, Trump is utterly humiliated. Think about the speech he gives at the Knesset. He flies to Egypt, peace 2025. Surely he wins the Nobel Prize. His triumph, Time magazine.
And that's crazy. He said that he's crazy. Because I know a lot of people from Israel, they're not fond of the Western, a lot of countries in Europe. Yeah, I know that's for sure. But if he said that, that's kind of messed up. And this is the problem. And I understand why some countries don't like Israel for that same sentiment. But then the Western world and our leaders have to be they have to be stronger with that message that we're not. Now, there are Palestinians, and some of these other Arab countries should take some of these Palestinians because they're more congruent with their own society. But again, these societies tend to be very tribal, which just bring another problem because they just basically they only hold how they kind of collective culture of some of these tribes, and when it comes down to these collective societies, it's very hard to just integrate them, even though they're almost practicing the same thing. It's crazy.
So if this thing falls through in weeks, months, he just looks like an idiot. And he'll do what it takes to follow through on the deal. And if Hamas is the one that isn't, disarming according to the agreement, do you think that he would stop Israel from disarming them, going back in and renewing the conflict? Or do you think that even he would have reservations about intervening? I mean, I don't like now that we're verbally committed to that. So, already, and I don't want to say that, who knows? Maybe it works. Maybe it works. Maybe Trump knows something that we don't, and it's a good deal. Maybe things have changed. We don't know that. But it seems like the cracks are starting to show already. And for Trump to even have to say that, it's like, okay, so do we have a deal or not? Because if they agreed to disarm, then it's like, wow, you beat them. You beat them. They're giving up. They're done. Trump solved it. But if it's even a question and Trump says, well, I don't know when they're going to disarm, and I don't know if they meant it when they said they would, but if they're not serious, then we're going to kill them. It's like, okay, so is there a deal or not? And if you've been following this war for the past 2 years, it's deja vu all over again. Oh, we have a deal, but no one really agrees on what's going to happen after the 6-week ceasefire, right? No one actually knows what the day after will look like in Gaza. Well, that's kind of the whole point of the war, isn't it? What the day after will be. Israel wants to kill Hamas. Hamas wants not to be killed. So unless Hamas has agreed to commit suicide, it seems like the war will go on until Israel kills them, or America does it for them. So I didn't like.
Oh, Hamas start killing people too. Like, hey, why? Yeah, you have to. Why is Nick not bringing that side of the equation? Like, Hamas can delete people too. Like, Hamas have been trying to delete the Israelis as well. Like, we cannot just leave that part out of the equation. I'm very,
to me, that throws a lot of cold water on the whole thing. If like, that sounds worse than what we had before. It's like before, it was atrocious and it was horrible, but Israel was doing it and we were paying for it. Mm-hmm. Now is the prospect that for us to have peace, we have to go and bomb Hamas? Like, how is that better? That seems worse, actually. It seems like worse than before the deal. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll watch, as they implement it. But we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats.
Very good. We're going to leave it there for the Nick Fuentes. We're going to just react to also the part 2 of Steven Crowder. He did the part 2 with the hood. Again, just to end this topic when it comes down to Israel and Palestine, I don't care. I mean, this is something that has been gone for quite a while. I'm all about American first. And America seems like it's much better leaving Israel in that region. I'm not agreeing with the majority of the things that they have done so far in that region, meaning like when there's a ceasefire, there's no need to just continue the war. They just, I don't like Netanyahu at all. He seemed like a slimy guy. Personally, it seemed like a guy that just want to just take advantage of Americans' interests. And I simply don't like that. But at the same time, we have to be clear that Hamas is not a good guy either. Hamas is not a good guy. And just pretending that that's the case, it's just being naive. It's just simply being naive. Let's just go and watch the second part of the Steven Crowder. It's Steven Crowder debate with these people, man. You guys know that I reacted to the first part. It was hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty uncomfortable. If you have the IQ to really hold yourself with this type of conversation, I pray for you. But this is gonna be very draining. I'm gonna let you know. This is gonna be very draining. Let's see.
Fight in packs. Can I ask you something real talk? While we're having real talk, why do young black men fight in packs?
Welcome back. As I'm sure you've noticed, race relations in America aren't exactly where we would hope they'd be in 2025. And considering the events over the past year or few...
I'm saying if you have fatigue about this stuff, man, don't watch it. But at least
North Carolina was visiting friends in Columbia back in May. Authorities say her alleged killer, Alexander Dickey, entered the home that she was staying in and shot her.
Investigators also say Dickey was on a crime spree before killing Logan.
A Collin County grand jury indicted 18-year-old Carmelo Anthony with first-degree murder. He's accused of stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a Frisco track meet earlier this year.
Killing a Ukrainian refugee on Charlotte's light rail last month, being put into handcuffs. This new chilling video is one of nearly a dozen new clips now in the hands of WBTV.
That's what prompted me to go back to the barber shop and start the conversation that you saw in part 1 of this video last week.
Have you guys heard of the term black fatigue?
And if you thought that was heated, all I have to say about part 2 today is hold on to your butts.
What I said earlier, and you this one, is when you have a young white person going, okay, why is this happening? And people go, Black Lives Matter. And they go, well, hold on a second. I have an opinion on Black Lives Matter. They go, well, sit down, shut up. Okay, now silence is violence. And that kid goes, well, what do I do? By the way, you're on the hook for reparations, even though his father, his grandfather, his great-great-grandfather didn't own a slave, and he's still 12 times more likely to be killed by a black person the other way around.
You're saying that you liked it, but this discussion you think would be better if it was with intellectual Pakistanis. I disagree with you. I disagree with you. Unless you can mention some intellectual Pakistanis.
What I'm saying is society is going to create
intellectual coffee beans.
A generation of racists. What do you say to that young white kid? What do you say to him?
Stop watching. Stay off of TikTok.
Stop reading stats.
Stop paying attention to what these talking heads are saying, because they're leading you down the wrong path. They're leading you down a path of paranoia and conspiracy theory.
What if their interactions with black people in general are quite negative?
So.
100%.
Give the same thing in reverse. What about black people who've had continuous, not only historical, but personal experiences where they've been at the wrong end of white people?
Here's the thing. I'll tell you.
And then we get told that those stories are invalid.
No, you're not.
Yes, we do.
You're not.
I've been personally told my story was invalid.
I'll give you an example. And by the way, the only thing that keeps my heart protected from racism, by the way, the only thing that protects me from not wanting to go out and kill the person who shot Charlie Kirk, because by the way, there are 2 people on earth who know what it's like to sit in that chair. Me and him. And I just did it at SMU and had to have entire bulletproof glass and an army to go in and have conversations, right? So I'm a little bit pissed off about it. Also, people have tried to take my life many times. So I don't really have a whole lot of sympathy.
Crowder is Canadian. Well, he's Canadian, but he's a naturalized a citizen of the United States.
For anyone, white or black, saying, oh, must be. Yeah. You ever have someone show up at your house?
You said, I mean, like a debater or someone who understands the combo. These guys are just going by intuition because they are normies. They don't know data or anything else. Yes, I guess that's the thing. Is it's very hard to just find those type of guys in that side of the aisle. It's very hard. It's very hard. It's even very hard to just make sure they sit down with you. Yeah, he was born in Canada, Jackass. He was born in Canada, but of course he got naturalized.
You ever have someone show up at your house
patriot, though. Don't get me wrong.
When your kids are sleeping with weapons being swatted? Like, we've been living through this for a long fucking time and told you don't know what it's like. I will say this. My faith is what has protected me. My faith is what has protected my heart from becoming racist. But I've had a lot of negative interactions. That's why I'm sitting here. We'll have to edit this because just the word. By the way, if you want a relaxing vacation, stay home. Don't go to I know, but my kids love it. So I go there, okay? And I'll tell you this. You have like this magic wand thing, you run around the hotel and it opens up chests. Wow. And I'm sitting there, I'm sunken eye, and there was a black guy next to me, obviously a dad with like his daughter and his son. And I just kind of looked at him, we looked at each other in the face like, yeah, we know. This is exhausting. And I know we have a lot in common because his wife or woman is probably in the room because he's there with his kids by himself. I was too. But then we were there at the water slides. My kids are 3. And this happened not once, but about 4 or 5 times.
My bad.
And it happened 3 times with one.
I was like, man, why I'm not seeing my screen, my other screen?
Black kid was about 5 or 6.
My bad.
Shoved my son out of the way to get on the water slide. Okay? My son did nothing. Shoved him out of the way a second time, came back. My son's 2-3 years, which is a big deal at that point. And then at one point I look over, Mom, no dad. And I just go like, hey, he's being aggressive. Okay, comes back the 3rd time. I go, hey, hold on, you have to wait in line. You know what my son said? My son said, well, Daddy, you know what, maybe he's in a real hurry. We should let him go. That was a different interaction. That kid kept doing it to every other and it wasn't the only one. And you know why? Because I've taught my kid, hey, you're going to have people who look different from you, and it doesn't matter, you treat them well. That kid wasn't. And I'm telling you, along with the empirical, anecdotally, if you have a young white person who has these interactions on a regular basis, and I'd be lying to you if I said they were uncommon, while being told they need to shut up because of systemic discrimination, you're going to create a generation of racists.
I get it.
But that child was poorly parented too.
I agree. We're running all the time.
Hey Steve, that child was poorly parented. There's no way in the world his mother shouldn't have intervened and whipped his the first time.
No,
the dad did nothing, Steve?
The dad wasn't
there. Was no dad. That's to say that
mom, no dad.
I say because it's not a race thing. The dad, him and I looked and were like, dude, I get it, right? We're both tired. But here, this kid, I don't know, maybe the dad wasn't there. His mom didn't, and he shoved my son out of the way 3 times.
But poor parenting though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
All the time.
That's what I was about to say. It's poor parenting everywhere. And that creates individuals that grow up to be grown up individuals.
Let me give you one.
And some of those individuals end up getting positions of power.
Well, see, can I drop one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Actually, because I like the thing about choices. And you were talking about the federal department.
By the way, the whitest
I'm sorry. But I'm sorry. Like, there's a couple things. You said you ended up in and so you don't have to worry about things that people in South.
No, I said I've been afforded some things.
Afforded?
Yeah.
Why? How are you afforded that? You just happen to lay
No, I sacrificed some things to live in.
Correct.
Right.
You made good choices.
I made choices. I made choices.
And we talk about educational standards.
But I also had opportunities available to me too that some people didn't have.
Of course, everyone has a different lot for sure.
Right.
Sure. But you were talking about educational standards. Why is it that the Asian kid does 3 times to 4 times as much homework than the black kid, and the white kid does 2 to 3? Why?
Because it's culturally, it's conditioned.
Exactly.
So why is it better parenting from Asians than white parents? Why?
Oh, man, this is, oh my goodness. I know Steven Crowder wants to talk. Let this guy with the hat cook a little bit and see where we can get from there.
Why is there better parenting? What he's trying to say is, you said bad parenting.
Well, I said,
so why is there better parenting from Asians and white parents?
Yeah, culturally, the educational mindset, culturally, when among Asians, they're taught from young that's primary.
Sure.
Over anything else, entertainment,
also obeying the law,
how you dress, none of that matters.
And it's
up here matters.
Right, and they're also about 3 to 4 times more likely to have a father in the household than a black. Why is this disproportionately affecting this one community? Because I have a question, because I actually have, like, my uncle, my aunt's married to a black dude, one of the most accomplishment of all time. Helicopter pilot, National Park Ranger, served his country, has a Ferrari in the driveway, right? He wears, crew socks, so we can forgive him for some things. But my whole life I've had this great black role model in my life. But then I try to ask questions, and I have a hard time asking him because I don't want to upset that relationship.
You're being responsible with your words.
So I want to ask now,
you guys notice that? You guys notice that? You're being responsible for your word, telling you you better be careful what you're saying. That's what he's trying to say. You better be careful what you're saying. That's crazy, man. He didn't notice, but that was simply him checking him and letting him know, you have to be careful what you're saying.
Like in the Third Reich.
I'm not even going to take that out. But then if you talk about there's no power. Well, we were talking about Charlotte, and you said the black activist judge. Well, in Charlotte, it's not just the black activist judge. It's the DA that's black that instituted those policies. It's a black mayor. So could we at least agree, before the civil rights movement and now, do blacks have more or less institutional power?
There's been some bad and some good that came
We have
along
less
with the civil
institutional
rights
power,
movement.
but you know what we don't have? We as a community, we don't have the unity.
Well, here's the problem we have.
So the last thing I want to ask.
I want to ask you a question before you say the last thing you want to ask.
It kind of all throws together, and I'll just let you go.
Okay, go ahead.
Why was the black community one of the fastest growing economic demographics in the country? Why were there tons of fathers in the household? Black people were becoming great role models and integrating into society naturally. And now it's substantially worse
than it
was before Martin Luther King.
You know why it's worse?
Yeah.
Because of the fact that I'm gonna say this openly, because I can't get into the specifics, but I work for an entity that I was flabbergasted to learn this, all right? And what we do is we provide Medicaid, right? And this is a former campaign I worked on, and I was awestruck when I would have white.
You say I like black men, if you know what I mean. I don't know. That's Jack Whiskey with the $2 super chat. I don't know what you mean by that. You like black men.
Females that would call, and they would call on behalf of their entire family, which included the husband, right? So many people say, well, the welfare queen is having more children because she gets more food stamps. Well, here's how it really works, and I can tell you this from firsthand knowledge, right? Let's say I've got a household of a wife and a husband, and I've got 4 kids. that household can earn up to $6,900, right? And here's what happens. Even if the husband is in the household, many times they're self-employed. So, of course,
Yeah, I think so. You're right.
you can skew the numbers any way you want. And you and your family will continue to get full health care. A black mother is always told that if there's a man in the house, number one, then it's a no-go, okay? Look at the Section 8 Housing Authority. Now, here's what happened, and you want to know what happened, what caused...
I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, what caused the problem in Black America. What caused the problem in Black America is the fact that when the father became absent in the home, right? When he became absent in the home, it left the mothers to bear the brunt. So to answer your question, do we have more influence in some areas? Perhaps, but ask yourself this. Do we have more influence economically? Because if you go back and you look, if you go back and you look prior to the civil rights movement, let me tell you something right now. You had more black carpenters and tradesmen all over the place.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, that's right.
This guy just rambling. He doesn't even know what he's saying. He's just rambling he's basically talking from both sides of his mouth. He's not going to land the plane. He's going to filibuster and say that before the civil rights movement, they were much better. But today, we have it worse, post-civil rights. Like, he just want to filibuster.
The problem is, again, if you agree with that, then you'll agree with the fact that if it had not been for the change in the systemic dynamics, that black men would still be in the home or what have you.
Right.
And
So
black
the federal government policy has not been instituted to help black people ever, but really to make them dependents of the state. When they were doing just damn fine without the federal government, that you want in more people's lives.
The only reason why
It's almost like reparations would be the same thing.
My question to that is, why is that a problem for white America? And we were already...
Because it's one country.
Because it's what?
We are one country, and the problems of one community...
We're not one country. We're an entity. We're a corporation. The United States is a corporation. It's not a country.
Oh my God, that's a dumb statement. I don't know if I'm going to just react to the entire thing, man. I don't know if I'm going to really... I don't know. It's going to be very tiring. The United States is not a country. It's an entity. Yo, that's the stupidest statement I ever heard all day, man. Like, it's a country. I don't even think he understands what he's saying. I'm being truthful.
Well, with that attitude, we can never be a country. If that's the attitude that people have.
Because it's not a country. It was never built. It's written in the Constitution. It's a corporation.
That is definitely not written in the...
That is not written in the Constitution. That's just not true.
It's not a country. So what I'm saying is, when we were black people in our own communities thriving, like you said, doing our own thing, why was that a problem for white America? We were doing our own thing. Why did y'all come and burn down the Wall Street, Black Wall Street? We had our thing going. Why is it an issue when we have our own thing going?
I just checked it out. Is corporation mentioned in the Constitution? No, corporation are not mentioned in the U.S. Constitution. There you go, debunked.
Our business, white America comes in and figure out a reason to, oh, that's wrong. Y'all are doing something wrong. That's not by the code. That's not by the rules.
No one here is trying to justify clear racist policies of the past or racism of the past. Of course that existed. No one was arguing that.
Here's the thing. We're not arguing.
That's not true. That's just you using metaphors that make no sense. International mall, not a real nation. We are a real nation. We are a republic. We have a system to just control border. We are a nation. If you think something else, I don't know what to tell you. You have to just go back and just figure out what you're talking. Like, he accidentally got a point. America is an international mall. You have to really explain that, because I don't know what you're saying. No, a real nation. So why are we? No, we're not a nation. What?
It sounds like you're saying that
what is a real nation? What is it a real nation?
Want racial segregation? Because you're saying
racial segregation. We asked for equality. We didn't get that.
But you're saying your own community doing your own thing.
Do our own thing.
Are you saying that we should be separate communities? That's what I'm asking. Are you saying we should be separate, white and black?
Jackass with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. I prefer light. I'm not gonna read that. Thank you so much for super chat.
Communities. That's what it sounds like a little bit.
Separation may be the answer.
Okay. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your honesty.
Separation could be the answer.
But if a white person says that, is it racist?
No, it's not.
Okay.
But I think that's
I think we should make sure that we keep that conversation regarding the.
But if you're saying it in a narrative that we're a threat to you guys, so that's why we want to be separate.
But you just said that white people are a threat to black people. That's what you just said. So why can't white people say it? And I don't think separation is the answer.
I didn't say that. I said you guys find a problem with everything that we do.
If separation is the answer,
yeah, well, reparations, come on with it.
So, who gets the reparations?
The whole black community.
Smiley, I don't know what you're talking about. I really don't know. A international or an international, most strong and most lethal military. Think about it. I don't know what you're talking about.
The people that have been wrong for so many years.
America.
The government that's taking from it.
Hey, Ukraine. I ain't never personally asked
you don't have to tell me twice.
yeah, I agree with you.
Like, why are we paying that?
Right, so
I agree with you. How about we pay none of it and let people make their own decisions?
You would just go back to reparations. That's the system.
To answer the question of who should pay, the federal government should be on the hook for some of that. But every single company that benefited from chattel slavery, all the insurance companies, all the freight companies, all of those companies that existed then, that still exist now in some name, shape, or form, they should have to pay into that because they all profited for it. Just think about this. You insured a slave. When you bought a slave, you got insurance on that slave. That insurance company made money off of that. And they built up into
what percentage of the workforce in the United States do you think were actually slaves here in this country? Because that might.
I don't know what the percentage was, but I know all the hard work. I know who did all the hard work.
No. I know. You know what? You just said the railroads. You just said the railroads. Why aren't the Chinese immigrants asking for reparations?
Because they've already been gifted what they were going to give.
You did what?
We did it for them.
You did it full?
For them.
Smiley, I'm not understanding what you say. My point is, we are a nation. We ate one of the strongest nations on this planet. Are you? I don't know what you're saying. I really don't know what you're saying.
The Chinese built the railroads. The Chinese were slaves. They built the railroads.
We did that for them.
No. The Chinese were the majority of the slaves building railroads.
Now, on
they
the
didn't get reparations. They don't want it.
Well, I tell you what. Next time we'll have you a Chinese dude in here so you can ask him that. I don't give I'm talking about black people.
Can you guys deal with the straight hair like that?
Yeah, actually, that's another misconception that we get all the time too.
We can cut any kind of hair, but we're talking about what black people. Hold on. We're talking about where the money's supposed to come from. It's companies that are $1 trillion, $1 billion companies that started in the 1600s, 1700s that are still around, and they benefited and profited immensely from that.
What if it's a company that never had slaves? Should they pay reparations?
No, not that the company had slaves, but we had companies that insured slaves. You had companies that transported slaves.
But what if it's a company that did none of it? Should they pay?
No, if they didn't have anything to do with chattel slavery, no, they shouldn't.
Neither did I.
Companies that should.
But let me say this.
But your grandfather.
But you understand the point?
But if your grandfather was here in the United States, I don't know. You said you from Canada. I don't know. We're not worried about it. We're worried about the people.
What if your grandfather was a slave owner and mine wasn't?
My grandfather was.
What if he was? But my point is, what if he was?
That's a good argument. That's a great argument. What if your grandfather was a slave owner? Because there was black slave owners as well. There were a couple of them. That's a great.
My father was a sharecropper in Plaquemine, Louisiana, in a little small town called Bayagula. So he was 2 generations removed from slavery. So I know I have a root in slavery.
Okay.
Somebody owned my great-great-grandfather.
What if I have no root in slavery?
Well, you don't own nothing. You don't owe anything. Your grandfather, if your grandfather from Canada, he wasn't down here owning slaves.
Okay, I'm just trying to. So then people who didn't own,
down here telling
we don't pay reparations.
He owed money.
Here's what I'm telling you. Though, hold on a second. Here's what I'm telling you. If you're to go through the numbers, so do we agree? If I have no connection to slavery whatsoever, that I don't owe.
You still
me.
You don't.
We agree. Okay. So do you realize that you could take all the white people in this country, and if you're going to add up everyone where you could actually trace the lineage to slave owners or had any involvement, you would end up with maybe 2 or 3%. 2 or 3%.
You said nations come from the word nature. What? Brett, that's not what a nation is. That is not what a nation is. That is not. Lord, we don't behave as a nation, then what do you think we behave as? Yeah, that's a great question, Smiley.
Percent of white people in this country.
They use these words like yes, a mall, the corporation, not even understanding what those things are. They just put them all together just to make some kind of sense, but they're not.
Entire salary.
Yeah, we are a country. We have nationalism. We have a culture. We have history. We have borders. We have institutions, and we have a political system. That's what makes a country a country.
Hey, Stephen, most of us have nothing.
Somebody did it. Somebody did.
Yeah,
and
Africans sold them into slavery.
Somebody owed.
It's still going on right now.
Somebody owed.
There are more slaves on earth right now than ever. Did you know that?
Steve, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. We're not gonna really get to the heart of it. Let me ask you this: are you aware of what's going on with McDonald's right now?
McDonald's, the company?
Yeah, McDonald's, the company.
I'm aware they can't get my fillet of fish right anytime I go.
Let me tell you what's really happening. I got a friend of mine who currently has 5 McDonald's locations, right? So there are many times he says, Cedric, sometimes I've got to get up at nighttime to go and check, even if the chiller goes out, right? So I said, man, why is that so? What's really happening? He said, Cedric, what happens is there are most black franchisees, right, that own these McDonald's. He said, we have to get them in the most low-performing areas, right? Never mind the fact that we make the same investment up front to purchase one of those McDonald's, right? So when you talk about that, let's look at the systemic and institutional biases that are involved just in that. You tell me I got to pay you $1 million to get a McDonald's, right? Same thing as my white counterpart. But yet, I'm relegated to take a McDonald's in an area that's probably highly impoverished. I've got to keep coming up with all kind of gimmicks to keep the foot traffic coming through the stores. Where nobody talks about that.
Well, what about the flip side of it?
I don't know how is that an argument. I don't know how is that even an argument. I don't know what he was saying. He's probably saying he doesn't want to really admit that probably those areas are very dangerous. I don't know why he want to. He's identifying kind of a problem, but he doesn't want to identify the problem.
What happens on the flip side?
What about the flip side of it? What about the fact that you have the government that has grants that they invest in black-owned businesses that don't happen for white people?
Let me ask you this, Steve. It's funny you.
Does that even it out?
No. But here's
because that exists.
Here's something you keep saying. You say that these grants exist for black people, but let me ask you.
Okay.
Jack of Whiskey with another $5 super chat. When I got back from Iraq, I was effed up in the head. I was a semi-pro in Key West for about 2 years, and I'm sorry to hear that, man. Yeah. Hopefully you're getting the help that you need. Yeah, but a lot of people that come from, especially from the hopefully you're getting help, man. Hopefully you're getting help. But yeah, a lot of people that are veterans, they're, on Iraq in particular, they're not well. I'm sorry to hear that.
But my point is actually both sides of that coin, right?
Yeah,
okay. That exists for a reason. Why? What's the reason?
The reason is based on what he's saying. That's why it's an appropriate.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you use his example of the McDonald's, what would be the reason for relegating the black owners to the low income neighborhoods?
I don't know. I'm not able to verify that all that's factual. I know. Were you told you could only open here in nice?
Huh?
Were you told you could only open here in a nice?
Well, this is Steve's shop, but no.
Okay. My point is,
but see, you have to
not just
understand
McDonald's.
Before you answer that question, you have to understand something. There's a difference in McDonald's and what have you.
Yeah,
the way that structure, the way that hierarchical structure runs, they will designate.
Jack of Whiskey with another $2 super chat. I own McDonald's stocks. Best investment in either. They're very conservative. They're very conservative when it comes to the stocks. Very conservative.
You certain areas of what have you that you will be awarded a location. You just don't have the right to say, okay, I'm paying $1 million.
That's the same for everyone. That's the same for everyone. I know a guy. Well, he just died not too long ago. He had a bunch of which I don't know how they're still around. It's disgusting. But
neither do I.
That's awful. I have never had a good meal at. But he had to be in certain too, because they had to displace his franchise investment, right? That's part of it, where he was like, this one place is killing me, but as long as I get this spot, when I average out the 4 spots, okay, I can turn a profit. So this isn't unique to the black community. What is unique is investments from the federal government and state government into black-owned businesses to rectify it that white people don't get. So it's not enough. So what would be enough?
Because of historical injustices that have been done to impede black businesses. So
it's not enough now.
Why
but what would
you have
be
to
enough?
ask yourself why would they do that? Why would they pay that?
What's the number?
Oh, because conditions historically.
That's my point. What's the number? Right? Public Department of Education, Great Society, Model Cities program, black businesses, Pell Grants, Affirmative Action, DEI. It's not enough. What's the number that's enough?
Once again, just like we said about the civil rights movement, about the education, and all that, you can do certain things in the name of doing the right thing, but you do it wrong. So
what's the number?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't personally have an answer to that question.
One moment, just one second. Would you agree that if a young person who has no connection to slavery whatsoever, you probably need a number for them? Otherwise, they're probably going to be pissed.
They didn't need a number for Ukraine.
Steven Crowder, they simply want money constantly to just touch their bank account forever. That's what they want. If they don't want to tell you, they want a monthly allowance until they die from white people. That's what it is. That's what it is. I'm going to say it. That's what it is. Coffee beans, they just want money from snow people until they die. That's what it is.
Sure, they paid them same taxes. They didn't need a number for how much
You're
we
talking
were
about
pay
reparations to a young person, right? In the name of sins of forefathers. My point is, what's the number? Because the number now is trillions of dollars. I get it. The government screws everything up, and I will agree on that. What's the number? You're sitting down right now with a 22-year-old white kid.
Give my daughter $15 million and we'll call it square.
$15 million?
$15 million apiece. We'll call it square. That's for me and for them.
$15 million, okay.
$15 million. Look, since a lot of people don't care about their taxes, add an extra 2% to what you pay in taxes. How about that?
Damn.
2%. Bro. That's a number.
2%?
2% for how long?
Let's see. How long?
So 2% only for white people who have a connection to slavery at their forefathers, right?
How long were we in slavery?
You'd end up with no money.
200 and...
You'd end up with zero money. You'd each end up with about $14.99.
You keep letting our people off the hook.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the government paying taxes. I'm not talking about just people who are responsible. Once again, I'm not responsible for anything happening in Ukraine, but I'm paying for it.
I agree.
We all paying for it. Can you use some basic analytical, I don't know, like, can you use some brain cells here? We all paying for it. Jackass with another $5 super chat said, when I was working in the Key West, black men were my best clients. Very nice, tender, individually. In group, they could be rough. Yeah, because they have a collective, it's called collectivism, right? They tend to be, they feed with each other. I used to live in New York City. I used to live in 275 Wall Street, close to Broadway Junction, very close to East New York. Taking the train to Hampstead, it was very dangerous. But when they get collectively, they feed from each other. Thank you so much for the super chat, Jackass.
So why should that rationale not transfer to this?
Because it's rationale.
It's not when the United States is the the people who perpetrate.
Well, that's why I need to ask the number, because if you're talking about more than $15 per black person, you're talking about trillions of dollars.
Right, but if we're going to be a part of the same country, like Lane said, we're going to all be a part and members of the same country. Well, we have to take on what comes with that. What comes with that is historically, every time like Chris said earlier, every time black people have achieved in mass, it's been torn down. No. And then you get to a point where
you're talking about the riots,
Then you get to a point where you're like, I can mention there's several black communities that's under lakes. There's one that's under Central Park in New York. Like, there's plenty. But my point is, then you get to a point where you say, okay, we're gonna do this in the interest of justice. But then redlining and all that stuff happens, and then the prison industrial complex, all of that stuff that happens that adds to the wrong of it.
Look at Steven Crowder. He's like, oh my goodness. You're dealing with people that cannot understand propaganda. He's like, man, I'm dealing with this
and then the
conversation.
Prison industrial complex, all of that stuff that happens that adds to the wrong of it.
It's hard, bro.
It gets mixed in.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, we tried, and you should just be happy with it.
Here's the problem. What you just said, it was the rhetoric and the reasoning behind catch and release, doing away with the three-strike policy. You point to New York. You got a black mayor and crime got worse.
Because he's a criminal.
And because you got 30 million people living in a
white guy before him. He was grabbing, grabbing every guinea intern.
And probably the white guy that put him in his spot.
Okay, so it's worse. In other words, it's worse, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the prison industrial complex. That's why that guy was out 14 times.
But I'm saying that's why George Floyd was out 9 times. That's also why you have less fathers. That's why you have less fathers in the home. So redlining in the prison industrial complex.
Exactly. Don't commit the crime, you won't be in prison. They just want to have an excuse to commit crime. Personally, that's what I think. Best example of this: just go to South Africa. It used to be a very beautiful country until the beginning of the mid 1990s. Right now, I saw Durban, South Africa. My God, sad to see, man. Sad to see. I personally believe we have to go back to the good old days, establish a more stronger approach when it comes down to crime. And we need to clean up some of our cities. We have to.
Two main caveats to less fathers in the home.
We've done the opposite of the prison industrial complex. Violent offenders are being released into society and committing crime in record numbers right now.
And nonviolent offenders are being held on petty charges.
No, they're not.
I've personally done the numbers on it.
How did that guy get out after 14 times? George Floyd 9 times. Do you realize 11 times arrested is the average murderer?
And you got people in there for weed charges that's in there for...
It's not a thing. It's less than 0.5%
personally,
of federal penitentiaries.
And that's the thing. When you tell somebody that personal knowledge don't matter because the stats matter more,
now he acting like a woman. Now he's acting like a woman. My personal feeling, like now he's acting like a woman.
I know somebody right now that's in jail for small shit, but I know somebody else that did some big shit and they out.
Small shit. Define small. So he had a joint on him.
Selling weed.
He's in prison right now because he had a joint.
But
you're saying, PJ, you need to react to the occult Kabbalah, the Antichrist U.S. manifestation, and how to avoid the mark of the beast. It's far more interesting. I don't know what that.
A small amount when
one time.
I don't know what's that.
One time he got caught selling. One time a small joint he was selling.
No,
let's talk about small things. Let's talk about it.
What is it really? That's what I'm saying. If you want to frame it in the one-time small joint, that's a strong man argument. I'm saying.
What is he in for?
I don't know how much he had, but it was.
And one time?
It wasn't. Yeah, it was one time.
He got caught one time selling.
No, I don't know. It wasn't his first time. No.
Okay, so he got caught multiple times, and he was selling weed.
But every time wasn't the same thing.
Do you know how many people die from laced weed?
That's what Tucker Carlson.
You know about the fentanyl problem in this country?
Yeah, I do know about fentanyl.
You know that most people aren't trying to get fentanyl, right?
But
weed itself never killed anybody.
I'm about to say fentanyl ain't our thing.
No, what I'm saying is, do you realize why trafficking drugs is a problem? You said a little thing. Can I tell you that if I had a white friend who was caught trafficking drugs, and I don't think weed should be outlawed, by the way, it's bullshit. Just to be clear. But if I had a white friend who was arrested the umpteenth time for selling a brick of weed, I would go, yeah, that makes sense. We would expect it.
Not for weed.
Of course. Selling weed, selling a
selling weed, because you're selling weed, but you don't know what you're putting there. We're not holding anybody accountable for just selling weed for some. I don't know what you're putting in that weed. There's no regulations in that weed, so we don't even know. It's Tucker Carlson interview about AI, the occult in the future, where we're heading down toward. Yeah, I saw that. It's interesting. I might react to it tomorrow if I can, if I have time. That looks very interesting.
Giant brick of weed multiple times? Yes.
And
those are choices.
And at the same time, I know people personally that like.
Sure,
you got dudes out here like selling all kinds of other shit. I ain't gonna even put names on it, but you got dudes out here selling all kinds of other shit, and they free. They've been arrested a couple times too, but they back out.
But at what point do we say, hey, you know what? Once you've been arrested for trafficking, for selling drugs, if you do it again, that's kind of on you.
Cocaine, man, we'll let you back out for cocaine. Oh, meth, don't worry about it. Sit in the pen.
You said a little
thing. Voted for that system. I hate to just keep stopping it, but you guys wanted that system. I don't.
Going back home.
$2 super chat for Jackass. Those comments of black men are very. Try to keep those comments away.
Oh no, 8 to 9 years, you done.
Okay, how about this? Someone who goes out and commits multiple crimes and felonies, if we do doesn't get any reparations. Because the white kid who didn't break the law, who never had any slaves and his forefathers, shouldn't be paying for someone who's a serial offender. Could we do that math? Would that be fair?
No.
Nope? Okay.
Nope. Absolutely. And the reason why, once again, because I'm
trying to find some common ground, because that white kid.
And I'm trying to tell you, you're trying to start the starting point right here when you're not factoring in what happened to get that kid in that low-income, impoverished environment that created the criminal that he ended up being.
Oh my God, this is what we're doing. It's not crime, it's poverty. Then why do poor white people?
Jackass Whiskey, I don't know if he's trolling or not. I mean, thank you for the super chat, by the way. I don't know. If
people not commit violent crime at the same rate.
They do.
No, they don't.
It's just usually different types of crime.
No, they do not.
They do.
It's a fact, dude.
Y'all just shovel them all in the trailer park.
They just different types of crime. And then they go off.
We don't shovel in the trailer park. They steal.
They go off in the hills and live amongst the rest of the toothless hillbillies, but they do.
You don't hear it.
We're talking about statistical realities.
There's no cameras over the young white male when the young white male is the real threat to America as it stands.
You know what? You're right. I agree. You're right about that. Because young white males are going to be the majority with guns, and if you keep telling them that they're fucking criminals and they should pay for people's bad decisions, you don't want to see them angry. Because they've never been angry. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at young men, and they're way, way more angry than I ever was.
Well, if they're that angry, why they could?
If they're getting their ass kicked.
If they're that angry, why are they only killing each other in their communities? When's the last time you? I mean, how many? Let's look at recently.
That's a good question. Why are they not killing black people?
No, you know
why are young white people not?
Here's the point: because they're able to understand that these are not the problem. They're not. Listen, they're able to understand that, you know what, perhaps I've been looking at it and I've been taught wrong. Maybe the problem lies with the person who I've been looking up to for all my guidance. Because listen, I mean, think about it. Even with the most, and let me tell you this, and I'm going on record as saying this. I don't care who you are and what your political dissidence is, there's no justification for going out taking the life of someone. Just because you have a different opinion of mine doesn't mean I'm going to get angry enough to say I'm going to go out and shoot you, right? When everybody asks me, because I got people who ask me, man, what did you think about this incident with Charlie Kirk? I said, you know what? People are not going to want to talk about it. I say, but this here was really a situation where this kid, more than likely, wasn't angry because of what was happening in Black America.
No, he wasn't. That wasn't.
He was angry because of the fact that Charlie Kirk had a different opinion about people
100%.
who are homosexuals. You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that was the cause that I believe, in my mind personally, that led him to say, you know what? This has got to be stopped because of the fact this guy is talking about someone who I love. Okay, so let's talk about that. That crime really
Let's talk about that.
be
Like this guy, when it comes down to landing the plane, bro, like it's a pain in the ears, man.
looked at more as a crime of passion versus a political outcry for difference. You understand?
No, it's political assassination. But here's one thing we can all agree on, right? The guy who shot Charlie Kirk, okay, his roommate, his lover, was a dude who was claiming he was transitioning to a woman. You're just fucking gay at that point.
You're just gay. Let's call it for what it is.
Right?
Yeah, you're just gay.
Can we all agree on that? It's like, he's not got a chick yet.
My question is, like, out of that tragedy, why did the next day Black communities have to get threats?
They did.
Yes, they did. Southern University. I'm personally
you're
tied
talking to the wrong guy, pal.
No, I'm just asking.
I can tell you who got the
Southern
threats.
University in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
I'm personally tied to that school.
No, you know who got the threats? Let me
Southern
explain.
University got one.
You're turning this into a race thing where I agreed that it's not. But let me tell you something. Every single vigil, every single memorial, where, by the way, both Black and white conservatives tried to mourn peacefully their own, desecrated, attacked, assaults, even in war, they let you bury your dead. And that's because of radical LGBTQAIP. That's not a race thing at all, but it's the same wing that's pushing reparations. So when you're linking arms with them, we need to hear you disown those people, too.
So here's the thing. There's a
those two problems should not be tied together.
Hold on, let me finish.
Joy Reid
There's
does.
a large contingent of Black America that does disown them. They don't speak for us.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, on the right, there's the Jared Taylors and the all of these different people, these super Christian nationalist dudes. I don't see nobody on the right separating themselves from him.
Well, we don't need to, because Richard Spencer and David Duke voted for Biden and Harris. Sorry, David Duke endorsed Jill Stein.
Richard Spencer, though.
What I'm saying is white supremacists don't vote Republican. They vote Democrat.
Jared Taylor did. And he encouraged all of his people to.
Jared Taylor is not first off, he's not in charge of the KKK or like that. He's one who's talked about race and IQ. And I don't know that he did vote for Donald Trump. But I do know that actually
people, the Patriot Front and all of them dudes subscribe to that.
There's nothing that's conservative about white supremacy. That's why they don't vote conservative. They vote Democrat. They're socialists. But the issue here that we're talking about is, again, I agree.
He was pretty open voting for Democrat. That's crazy. I mean, that's crazy.
On
and I think because he understands who Biden was. Biden was simply a guy that was brought up in segregation era. So he understood.
Not political. That's why I'm going, I don't think that you realize you pivoted it into a race issue and said Black people were more at risk.
Well, you just asked why we didn't separate ourselves from the extremists.
I said after.
Why don't y'all separate yourselves from the extremists?
Well, of course we do.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, they suck.
I haven't seen that. I personally haven't seen that.
We all do. It's never enough.
I pay attention to all that stuff.
We all do. Donald Trump did. He was still able to read. He said, I'm not talking about white supremacists and neo-Nazis who are horrible and should be condemned totally. The media cut it out. Did you know that?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, you probably heard he said there were fine people on both sides, right?
I heard that clip.
Right before that, he goes, look, I'm not saying white supremacists are neo-Nazis who should be condemned totally, but outside of that, you had on this monument argument, fine people on both sides.
And you had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly.
Why do you think the media lied to you?
But if he said if that's true, then let me ask you a question.
It is true. I can show you the clip.
Well, why did he not sue those media networks like he said when the interview with Kamala Harris was edited?
He did, and he won.
Well, why was that not publicized?
Why do you think? You think the news agencies want to publicize their losers?
That was going to be my next point. Is media does what it does on both sides.
No, the media is incredibly left.
That's the point. That's the problem we always have, is because when one person says, well, there's problems on your side too, you say, well, no, you dismiss those, and you say, well, just going to point to your problems.
No, name me one right-wing source of media. Name me one outside of Fox News.
Acknowledging y'all's.
Jackass with the $2 super chat say, I ain't. So I have a. Thank you so much for the super chat. That's all I have to say, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Name me one outside of Fox News. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, CNBC, MSNBC. Local. Name me one outside of Fox News that's conservative. You can't.
Breitbart.
That's not a mainstream outlet. Breitbart. Then we could go Salon. Then we could go HuffPo. For years in this country, ABC, NBC, CBS. Now you go CNBC, MSNBC, CNN.
And once again, all of them are left. Shit. All of them got their shit.
All of them are left.
Yeah.
They cannot admit.
New York Times.
And like women, they have to
go through them.
Yeah,
we have to agree on that. Hey, that's why you were lied to.
But that's the thing. People lose the ability to think critically, think for themselves, and they just lean whatever way the publication or the platform is telling them.
Right.
Now it's up to people that run these platforms and publications to be responsible with their words and how they're leading people. But you got one half of the country that's purely led to think that these people are bad, and then that's all it is. It's just
I think they're bad. I think people who cut out Donald Trump saying, not saying white supremacists and who should be condemned. I think the media that cut out on January 6th, where he said, of course, make your voices heard peacefully, patriotically, but peaceful. You have to be peaceful.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
And they cut that out. I think that media is bad.
Statement when this is the same guy who says if you want your country, come down to D.C. and fight like hell or not. He
did in that same speech. He said, "Fight like hell, peacefully. Has to be done peacefully." You know who else said, "Fight like hell"? Kamala Harris.
But that's the biggest option. How can you have a peaceful? Somebody says, you know what? I'm gonna tell you like,
we're gonna act like fight like hell is an expression. Oh, come on, you're smarter than that. Fight like hell is an expression. Joy Reid uses it. Kamala Harris uses it. Biden uses it. Barack Obama used it. Every single one. It's only attributed as violence to Donald Trump.
All of those platforms, networks that you and Travis just so eloquently exchanged.
Mine was not eloquent.
How many of those are ran by black people? None of them. We don't control shit. Once again, why we always get the blame for everything? We don't control nothing.
What percentage of commentators? Are black?
I don't know. I don't watch mainstream.
It's about 25. It's about 25%, despite being 12% of the population.
But they still working on a platform that is not controlled or ran by black people.
So
this is crazy.
We don't discriminate.
So when you lay out responsibility,
is Van Jones not black? Joy Reid not black?
He black.
Sonny Hostin not black?
He black, yes.
They're allowed to express their opinion.
Is he on the Van Jones network?
This is crazy.
Is Van Jones
Joy Reid's numbers were dog shit. That's why she got fired. Just like Jimmy Kimmel.
Van Jones network.
So now Jimmy Kimmel's numbers are bullshit, but nevertheless, though, you had a national outcry where ABC had to retract and bring him back. I mean,
someone from the left also shot up an ABC affiliate.
Huh?
Someone from the left also shot up an ABC affiliate, so that was a big deal.
See, again, Steve, we can go back and forth all day. The broader context is the fact that
I do believe he needs to have a little bit more control on these back and forward. He needs to have more control. He needs more debate skills. He's very smart, but he needs a little bit more debate skills. He's just basically kind of brawling this debate.
You know what? There is a part of white America that needs to acknowledge the fact that, look, even if reparations is not going to happen, because we damn well know it's not, right? At least stop preventing us from moving forward. Listen, do you know?
I don't know how we are.
Do you know right now, in the venture capitalist world, 97.3% of their money, their lending, goes to actual white firms. Now, there was a movement in Georgia where these women were given $20,000 to other women contestants because they had a little small minority component over there. Right? That went to court, and they said you cannot do that because it is discrimination, but nobody ever challenged the VC. Okay, so you explain to me, now again, we're within our own trying to build up.
Shout out to the people that have sponsored the show today. I really appreciate that.
Discrimination. See, it's funny how there's an outcry whenever we do the exact same thing.
You don't do the exact same thing. Crime statistics aren't the same thing.
But you're talking crime.
Because you know what I'm talking about? No, but what I'm talking about is there are young white kids who don't get good breaks either, right? They have some tough breaks and they don't commit crime in record fucking numbers. And blaming them for this country.
There's a lot of black people that don't commit crime in record numbers.
Statistically, it's not the same thing. There's most of them. Most black people don't. But a young white kid is 12 times as likely to be murdered by a black male than the other way around. In other words, white people, like you said, we're not going in and killing black people. That it is absolutely a fact.
So hard to
what if it is true, guys? What if that stat is true?
Where is this happening?
Yo, bro, they're so full of it.
The real Earth. What if it's true? Hey, what if I could show you the clip and Donald Trump said, 1 second. Look, I'm the minority here. I get it, right? I'm outnumbered. But what if Donald Trump actually said what I just said? And why don't you know? What if the stat I'm giving you is true? And why don't you know? At a certain point, hey, if you want to blame institutional,
you publicize everything.
If you want to blame if you want to blame a systemic, institutionalized, right, wrongdoing, maybe you should look at you guys being misinformed.
The whole thing is fucked up.
Yeah.
That's my
So we
point. The whole
misinformed about
thing
Donald
is
Trump.
Well-timed murder.
Military to go into
Well-timed murder.
Is that misinformation as well?
What was that?
I say, is that misinformation?
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Is that misinformation when you look at Donald Trump ordering the ICE to go into primarily black cities along with the FBI? Is that misinformation? When you talk about New Orleans,
What else can we say about those cities? What else can we say about those cities?
Question, Steve. I'm asking a question. Is that misinformation? See, you
The way
can't
you're
cherry
presenting it,
pick-
yeah.
No, Steve, I asked you.
Is it because they're black? Or is it because they're sanctuary cities?
See, that's saying
Where they are
that's not a bullshit term that you guys have adopted on the right.
Let's go, Steven Crowder. That's what I'm talking about. You have to come up with that same energy. You see how they start backing off?
Come on, man.
That's what I'm saying.
It's an actual policy.
It's
You know that?
always a
It's an actual
dismissal.
policy where they don't deport and they actually subsidize illegal. You hear about Aurora, Colorado?
Steve, I'm gonna share
And
something.
I'm with the Latino.
I hope I don't lose my job behind what I'm about to share with you.
Yeah,
Let me tell you
Steven
something.
I hope you don't either.
Let me tell you something right now.
He's doing very
There
good.
is a big push with this immigration bullshit that is placating the
got him,
public.
yeah,
Because
he
let me
got
tell you
him.
something. When they come to this country, the minute they hit the shore, the first thing they do is call and say that I want Medicaid. And guess what? By law, there is a record called non-citizen emergency expedited Medicaid. We have to give it to them, all right? So if you want to turn around and talk about immigration, then you got to talk about the corporations and stop incentivizing this shit to happen,
And
all right?
nobody's
'Cause when
asking why
come
they
in,
gotta pay that.
nobody says that. No, nobody talks
I agree
about
with you.
that,
Why did Kamala
right?
Harris say that illegal aliens can't get Medicaid?
But the problem
I agree with
existed.
you.
The
It's a
problem
lie.
existed
They
long
can't.
before Kamala Harris, though.
No, I'm telling you that the
before
left. Why do you think they have a government shutdown right now?
But that's what I'm saying.
Right now, because the
We're at
left
a
wants
government shutdown because of healthcare. It got that damn thing.
healthcare for who's going to be beneficiary?
I bet-
Illegal aliens.
Yeah.
But see, you say that, but
You shouldn't pay for that. I agree,
That's
right?
just like
Someone
saying
illegally-
illegal aliens can vote.
Yo,
You
he's
damn well
locked
know
in.
they
He's
can't.
locked
Of course they
in.
can.
No, they can't.
How do we do
many
it?
instances have you seen?
How many states have voter ID?
Yeah, correct.
Oh, you
It's the politics. It's the politics is so bad, man. Listen, I would not even have problem with a lot of these ghettos, right? But the politics is so off because they're not instructing themselves. They're not doing their homework. And I believe that because they're surrounded by this kind of culture, for them, it becomes normalized. Then law doesn't become real. The concept of branches of government doesn't become real. So you start having these conversations, and all they put themselves in a position of victims. That's not true. Not true for what? You said me?
Kidding me?
Or the video?
When look, man, I'm from Louisiana originally. Okay, when I go to vote, damn it, the first thing they ask me to do is please let me see your ID.
Yeah, how
You
many
show me-
states have voter
Me too.
ID?
Okay, then you tell me the number. You got the number.
It's
You got
over
the
20 that don't.
So over 20 states that don't.
We were told illegals couldn't get on Medicaid, but here they are.
But I
Yeah,
just told you
exactly.
that I just told you that.
I agree
that
with
is
you.
that is something that has been going on in this country for damn years. Because you know why?
So
You
let's
gotta
deport
ask
them.
yourself, who's the corporate benefactors? If you're gonna do that, then
They
make
wanna
sure
vote-
that.
Well, you know
wanna
why?
blame
Do you
the
know
snowman.
about the census rule change?
No.
And by the way, this actually directly harms the black community, specifically the black community in a lot of ways, because you have a much more comparable percentage of the population to like Hispanics, right? More than white people. You're close, depending on the state. The census rule that they wanted to change, which you can thank Donald Trump for reversing, was going to count people in the household whether they were legal or not. Do you realize that would actually change district seats, voting patterns, and the Electoral College? Why should someone here illegally be able to be
Electoral
counted?
college does need to be changed.
My point is, it would have been changed based on illegal immigrants.
yeah.
People who, and you know what else is pretty, hey, there's also a pathway to citizenship from the Democrat Party. So if you vote for us, you're going to get your free shit. And you know who pays for it? All of us. And you tend to have more Hispanic people in the black community who are there illegal. You live in closer proximity. My woman is Hispanic. She's Latina. Of course, she's nuts. But she'll tell you, because she has family members who are here legally, they're not at risk.
What about
Sanctuary
the companies
cities
that
are a
employ-
problem.
What about the companies that employ these illegal immigrants? See,
See, the
that's
problem is that you see how they're ready to just simply just jump in and not address the argument. They just keep just jumping from one argument to the other and not admitting whether or not what Steven Crowder said, right, is true or not.
they keep
Punish them all.
Yeah, because once again, if
Punish
I
them
want
all.
somebody,
Are you
I'm
gonna
from-
punish the hand that feeds you? Come on,
Hold on,
don't-
Sid,
Doesn't feed
hold
me.
on. Hold on, I'm asking a question.
Yeah.
The companies that employ these illegal aliens, they're profiting not only by the normal margin, by an increase because they're paying less to these people. But one thing, living in Texas and Louisiana, who gonna pick that fruit?
Oh, plenty of white people. Plenty of white people. Plenty of white people.
White people ducked and ran from picking that
Didn't
cotton.
you see that? Didn't you see that? There was Ohio, I think it was Toledo, the meat packing plants. Once they said we can't hire illegal aliens, it was a line around the block of white people. Do you realize that the enrollment in the trades has gone up? This idea.
They was inside. I said out there in that sun.
That's not true because I'm telling you right now, if they tell me, hey, go pick up some fruit for $20 to $30 an hour, I'll do it. The thing is, the reason they like to just get very low, cheap labor is because they don't have to pay the taxes, Social Security, state taxes, federal taxes, Medicaid. They don't have to pay it. They can simply just give them $100, $120 cash, and they don't have to report that. That's what it is.
Get out there, son, get them strawberries.
Hey,
who gonna get them peaches and them apples?
You know who did that? Me.
Ain't no white people out there doing that.
Did you know I did that?
Ain't no
that was
white
one of my
people out
jobs.
there. Ain't no white people out there.
I did a part-time job working in an orchard, and then I worked construction. Why wouldn't we do it?
How many white people? You might have been out there as an individual.
That's what I'm saying. It's just because it happens.
How many of them was out there? I done drove by the
They weren't out there because it's slave labor.
And seen them Latinos out there.
They don't want to see
I never thought I would see a black man
man
advocate for modern slavery because that's what that is. That's modern slavery. That's modern slavery.
So he's saying he's hard work, but you want illegals to do it for cheaper? It's just pure slavery.
That's hard work, man.
They shouldn't be here illegally.
Somebody got to get that cabbage out there. Somebody got to get
what, you're okay with slavery? I just don't get it.
Somebody got to do that. White people not going to do that.
Of course we will.
Once again, when the work got hard, that's when they went and got slaves.
Yeah, white people don't know hard work.
The Indians broke down.
Yeah.
They went and got black people. They got the Chinese. They conned them in doing the railroad, like you said.
Hey, they
but
don't
when
want to have a
white
conversation.
work get hard, white people ran from that kind of work. So if you can't tell me in 2025 you're going to go find one of them new generation upset white boys that's going to get out there and climb that tree and get them apples out of it.
It's a statistical reality. I'm telling you. And hey, what do you think happens when people coming from the third world aren't working here illegally as modern day indentured servants, slaves? What do you think happens when they're not there? Wages go up. Why would you pay more when you can have someone who's off the books, you can threaten with deportation, pay him dog shit? By the way, that hurts your wages too.
Well, exactly, that's the point. Oh my God, that's the point. That's the point. He cannot even understand what he's saying.
You got to pay them more because that is somewhat a form of slavery. That's some hard work out there.
But yeah, but what you're saying, bro.
But the companies that employ the Tropicanas, the Del Montes, the Libby's, all those companies that get the people, somebody got to get them green beans. All those companies are profiting from that cheap labor. Somebody got to pay. So if they're profiting from that,
I agree.
Those are the companies that need to be punished.
They should be punished. And
Jack of Whiskey with $5 super chat is when I was a semi-pro in the Key West, I turned heads in my. Thank you so much for the super chat. I don't know if you're trolling or not.
Government that incentivizes it should be punished.
You know.
Well, thank you so much.
Whoever
government is incentivizing it because they're stealing food from your kids' mouth.
The borders
we can agree on that. Hopefully,
I'm all with that. But if you gonna let them in here and somebody gonna profit off of it, make them folks have to.
But he's not even understanding his own argument.
If you punishing somebody, if you making that kind of profit off that illegal labor, you got to make it so punitive that I don't need to get that illegal labor because it's killing my profit.
But if we apply it, and I agree with you, punish them, right? I agree with you 100%. Wouldn't we also apply it to sanctuary cities that have harbored illegal aliens and prevented the deportation?
And
by the way, you know Barack Obama
deported.
A
sanctuary city, that's a city where you can come if you're an illegal alien.
And they will protect you from deportation.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Exactly.
That's what he's been saying, but you cannot listen.
I was born here, so I don't give a damn about nobody that's illegally over here. If you ain't supposed to be over here, you got to deal with it.
I agree.
You got to deal with it.
I agree, and anyone who's fostered it should be punished.
My kids was born here. My mom and my daddy was born here. My grandparents was born here, and they. So
but
we
here acting crazy,
if
man.
you're not supposed to be here and you don't go through the legal channel, you got to deal with the consequences of that.
Yep.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
I'm not here for harboring nobody.
I am for legally having a path to citizenship.
Now, legal,
right.
that's different. Legal immigration is different.
Yeah. I agree.
Legal immigration is different.
And by the way, it shouldn't be easy. It shouldn't be easy.
You should have to pass some
it is not.
You should have to pass some tests to prove that you're going to be here. You're going to contribute.
Once again,
I agree.
Once again, if I just went to Montreal. If I wanted to move to Montreal, I'd have to do some shit.
Oh yeah.
It'd take like 3 years for me to officially become a citizen, and there's a lot of stuff that I had to do in them 3 years.
Yeah.
To prove to them that I'm worthy of citizenship.
Well, it's even worse when people hear. This is why I say people don't realize that America is actually they provide more opportunities than any other country. You don't get assurance maladie in Quebec unless you've been employed and paying taxes. I think unless they changed it, I haven't been there since 2004, 3 years. So in other words, you do not receive anything comparable to EBT, SNAP, any of that, unless you are a tax-paying citizen with a record. They don't let people come there, white or black. Also, they are way more racist than America. People don't realize that. French Canadians, yeah,
Yeah,
they're
French
super
Canadian.
racist.
Yeah,
And the reason,
French Canadians are out there. They're out there, man.
like, my
It's just
experience has
a
been that
different-
Americans are the least racist people of all the countries. That includes Europe, that includes Canada. People think Canada's awesome, but French Canadians hate the Haitians because it's a French colony. They hate the Vietnamese. They're just awful.
That's what I was about to say. It's different pockets that they hate. They don't hate. They don't hate us, Americans.
Yeah, they don't like Americans.
They don't like Americans.
I didn't experience that.
Yeah, they talk behind your back.
I experienced it. Well, that may
And it's bullshit too. They're jealous. They're jealous.
Yeah, I remember. I have to tell a story. When I was doing my master's degree in classical piano, I was doing my master's degree in Milwaukee and in classical music, pianist, right? Because I'm a classical pianist. And there was a French Canadian girl. She was like a red hair French Canadian girl. And bro, the way she used to talk about Americans was crazy. She used to say that we are dumb. We don't understand politics, that supposedly Canada had a better polity. And I'm like, man, I'm like here just thinking about this. I'm like, why in the hell you're here? Why you're in Wisconsin if Canada's much better? And here, when I came here to the mainland, because I'm originally from Puerto Rico, when I came to the mainland, I came here with the idea that I need to make sure that I just integrate more to the mainland culture, to make sure I become a better American. And here you have this Canadian lady coming here and just bashing our system. And I find that's so crazy. French Canadian, by the way. She was very racist against Americans.
They don't do that here too.
I don't know if that even racist. No, I know. Yeah, no. Canada's a silly place where, again, it's bigger than the United States with a tenth of the population, and it doesn't have the same kind of diversity that we have here. I mean, when people point to Norway or these countries that have giant social safety nets, it's like take the population of Rhode Island. Hey, and I'm sure you could probably make it work better too if it was 100% black or 100% Nordic. When you have a cultural common ground, it's easier, right? We have a lot more pockets in this country than in places like Canada. It's a beautiful city to visit, though. I highly recommend it. To live there is awful. You want to pay 52% income tax and 14%. What was sales tax when you went? 14%?
Yeah, sales taxes.
You know what's crazy about it?
Like that.
You're taxed on tax. So you have a bill, they tax 7%, total it, and then tax another 7%.
I was about to say, they came and got some more money after we got back.
Yeah, that's socialism in
That's
Quebec.
socialism.
And I mean, I've buried relatives from their socialized health care.
Which is why we need to fight harder to preserve this country versus, because see, we keep going back because of our ethnic differences and our beliefs and what have you. We can never move forward. And right now, we are in the fight of our life as Americans. Because let me tell you something right now. There's a huge push to supplant that damn dollar. And if you think that dollar doesn't mean nothing.
Hey, Jackass Wisty, I don't know what you're saying, man. You have to keep the conversation on the topic of the video, though. Thank you so much for the support, but you have to keep the conversation with the topic of the video.
Watch what happens when it loses that reserve currency status. You'll see what it's like to have a goddamn currency that's worth nothing. Okay, so we've got to we really got to reevaluate. Listen, we're not going to ever agree on every goddamn thing, but the one thing we got to agree on is that we are Americans, and to the rest of the world, whether you black, white, Republican, Democrat, Independent, or what have you, you know what? They still see you as American. All right. So since we're one and the same, let's figure out what we need to do to address the real goddamn problems. You know. Now, as far as it goes for the young white.
Jackass with another $5 super chat says, I like classical music. My favorite composer, Eder of Grief. Very good composer. His piano concerto, one of the best piano concertos. And by the way, during his time, at the end of the 19th century, and beginning of the 20th century, his piano concerto was very hated in Europe. But in the America, it was very well known. It was very popular. Very good quintet as well.
I can't speak on his frustration. I simply hope that, you know what, we don't repeat the damn mistakes of the past.
Right, he's a sponsor of today's live. Thanks so much.
We got to move forward.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not asking you to speak for them. I'm asking you guys to consider listening.
Sure.
Because they're at a point where, I don't know if you know this, a lot of young white dudes have had some pretty fucking tough breaks and no advantages. And they grew up in an era. No, look, everyone has it. Everyone has it.
But
that's the disconnect, man.
Nobody's trying to hear that, man. That's
Okay.
real talk. That's
Okay.
real talk.
Well, real talk, 12 times the murder rate. You don't want to believe it? Fine.
I don't.
And that kid's not going to want to pay
reparations. You know what
reparations.
else on top of that?
Yeah.
I ain't scared. So you can throw them threats out there all you want.
I know you're not scared.
About what the young white man might do.
I know you're not scared because you're 12 times less likely to be the victim of a violent crime from a white person than he is of you. That's a fact.
No, I'm 12 times more likely to defend myself against some bullshit. So if the young white boy come with that bullshit, I'm gonna meet that bullshit with some bullshit.
A lot of white people going into black neighborhoods.
That's what I'm saying.
A lot of white boys going into black neighborhoods.
And ain't nobody playing.
But I think that's.
What you guys, come on, let's real talk. You've never seen a white person come in solo into a black neighborhood and start a fight.
Jackass with the $2 super chat. I like you more now. Thank you so much. Don't like me too close. Well, thank you so much.
I don't think you've ever seen black people. Let's be honest, guys. You're not afraid of young white kids.
Steve, you saw a white man going
If you are, correct me.
I'm agreeing with you, but I'm also giving you a flip side to that coin that you completely ignored.
No, because he said I'll stop some bullshit from a white. I tell you, young white guys are afraid when they're surrounded by black guys.
Okay, but don't come around black guys.
I'm afraid when I'm surrounded by a bunch of white men. I'm just not going to.
I'm not.
No, I'm not saying you.
Dude, I'm surrounded. This could be an entire tornado of black fists raining on me for saying the wrong thing.
Steven Crowder, I'm talking to the boy that you're talking about. The young white boy that
I'm not even saying I wouldn't deserve it.
I'm talking to him. If you're that scared of black people, don't come around black people.
They're not scared. They're tired of it.
Well, don't stay away from us.
That's a different.
Yeah. You got your own.
That's a very interesting choosing of words. He shows tired of it, not scared, tired of it. That's a different emotion. That is very different because that's what I feel. I'm a little bit tired of the BS. I'm very tired of a lot of these communities not being held accountable. It is a real problem. Not only is it a real problem, it's just it's dividing the country to a point that we don't see the justice system working properly. And it's very frustrating in some ways. It's very frustrating. And they don't want to hear it. That's the point. They don't want to hear it. Look at Steven Crowder, bro. He's like, these people don't want to hear it, man. They don't want to hear it.
Great. Then don't ask them to pay for it.
And we're not
because once again.
Oh, so you want them to stay away but foot the bill.
So you got to do that with everything
and now
else
it's
in
the
the tax
kid, now it's the boodle, and nothing is it. Stay away from us but pay for us. Do you realize that guy's going to hate you?
That other side of the coin. If we're going to do that, if we're going to give you that, then you got to go through everything and you got to give us the same thing. We're not going to pay for certain shit that we don't agree with.
Can I ask you something real talk? While we're having real talk. Why do young black men fight in packs? Why don't we see a World Star video?
I know personal experience. Young Asians fight in packs more than young black men.
No, I'm talking about every time I tune in.
I used to be a club bouncer, so
I'm talking about video after video of a defenseless person on the ground getting stomped by
social media. That's
people.
Conditioning. That's something somebody propped up that wants you to see that represents black folks.
Man, I'm trying to hold myself here. These people are so dishonest. Yo, you can literally just go to any place here in the United States when they're the majority. Bro, when I was in New York City, man, that was so common. That was so common. And it's because of the nature of the collectivism. And you see these videos multiple times in Twitter. It happens. Jackass Wixie with another $5 super chat said, my favorite Greek composition is The Death of Ace. Edgar Grieg was in the region. Yes, he was. You know what other composer you might like as well? Because you're probably going to like his style. Edward McDowell. Edward McDowell was an American composer, late Romantic period, late 19th century. His music is very similar to Edgar Grieg, very similar. He's just an American composer, not very well known, but he was one of the few good composers that we had back in the 19th century. So you might like his piano concertos as well.
You think it's equal across the board?
That's the problem. No, I think it happens in any community.
Do you think it happens more from young black men than young white men?
No, it gets amplified more from young black men.
Do you think young black men commit violent crime more than young white men? Let's laser in. Do you think
amongst each other? Yeah.
No.
Do you think
not amongst the populace?
You're saying you don't believe the 12 times rate? Do you believe that young black men commit wanton violence against white men more than white men do against black men?
No.
Okay. Then we're never going to find common ground or improve because it's a reality.
You're right, because you believe that.
No, I know that. And I'm listening to the kids who are living that. It would be like me telling you in 1960s to black kids going, you don't know. Let me speak for you. You can't speak for those kids. It's what they're going through. Listen, I want to listen, but you guys need to listen to them too. This is not going to go well.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. But I'm telling you, I'm just asking. While I'm hearing you say that young kid is feeling this way,
of course,
I'm asking you to tell that young kid, consider the people that came before him. Hold on. The reason why we're in some of these situations is because historically we've had to deal with this forever.
That's why he's getting his ass kicked.
We didn't ask for none of this.
I knew it. I knew it because of slavery. Because of slavery, I'm about to just lose it, man. I'm telling you, I'm about to lose it, bro. This is insane because of slavery. You can't do this, man. You can't do this. This is people they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it.
He got here and had to deal with the historical ramifications
all across the country.
So
all across the country, it's a reality.
So when we're asking for it, it's invalid. But when he's asking for it, we supposed to listen.
Okay, 19 of the top murder cities in the country are blue districts with exponentially larger black populations than the rest of the country.
What's up, y'all?
Chicago, Baltimore, St. Louis, Detroit, where I'm from, Los Angeles. No, 12 times the rate. I don't know if they're random, but yeah,
but
more random attacks.
In those cities, blacks are killing black people.
You can say it's not.
Black people are killing black people at way higher rates in those cities.
Sure they are, but they're killing white people at 12 times the rate that white people are killing black people. That's a fact.
I think if that were true, Steve, we'd have a national outcry and the government would bring all the forces.
You're about to get one. That's what I'm here to warn you about. You're about to get one.
Steve, that's what
You're
I'm
about to
saying.
get one, and I don't think you guys see it coming.
No,
it's coming.
I see it, but what I'm telling you is you're not going to...
Let's go. Okay, Steven, that's the real. That's very real. It's gonna come, and they don't see it coming. They don't see it coming because they don't want to admit it.
About to get one, and I don't think you guys see it coming.
No,
it's coming.
I see it, but what I'm telling you is you're not going to see the exact. You're trying to equate the black crime to the white. It's not the same crime because conditionally,
you're right. It's far more violent.
Culturally,
it's far more violent.
Totally
You're right.
different. Culturally, we've had to deal with generation after generation of struggle and resistance to oppression. We've had to deal with that conditioning over history.
Okay,
y'all haven't. So there's less fight in you. You're right.
You tell that to a kid in a wheelchair who was getting a pack of smokes.
Huh?
You tell that to a kid in a wheelchair for life who was getting a pack of smokes and was being white in the wrong neighborhood. See if that argument works, and then ask them to pay for reparations.
Unfortunate things happen.
Are people ever responsible for their own decisions?
Yes.
What I'm trying to tell you is young white people are going, we're tired of being blamed for racism when we're getting beaten up, we're getting killed, and we don't have any affirmative action or DEI, and they're saying we need to actually have a conversation here.
Okay, I hear you.
I don't know, go to World Star, go to BET, go to any single rap track.
With the blacks beating up the white people.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Because it's not coming across your algorithm.
They just playing. You know, they know this is gonna be aired, so they trying to just play for their community. But we know Milwaukee. I mean, you can name any city in the United States. You have the same exact problem.
It's going to show you stuff that relates to you.
Are we going to act like World Star is just a nightmare I had at some point?
Those young white kids are going to see stuff that relates to them and their point of view. So if they believe that they're being hunted, they believe that people are out.
If you want to see one, go to the Spirit Airlines terminal.
That supports that. That's the algorithm. That's why I say stay off of social media. That's some bullshit. Yeah. Stay off of social media.
It's not an algorithm.
Think for yourself.
I agree. That's why I'm here.
Talk to people that's different from you and talk to them. And
I agree.
Where they coming from.
I agree, but I don't hear a lot of listening.
You gotta listen to them too.
I am listening. I don't hear a lot of listening to young white kids.
And I believe
you just say that's not true.
You go on the college campuses.
I never
think you do
that.
have a pulse of that generation. I don't doubt that. But what I want to think, in my estimation, this is what I've observed. We are diffused for the.
Jack of Whiskey, I really appreciate the support, but let's just keep the conversation respectfully.
Fight that's inevitable. We're not necessarily the problem, but we're the fuse that's trying to get lit. See, there's a sect of white people that are trying to start fights or start a revolution against black people to fight the fight that they really want to fight against other white people.
Okay.
See, that's what keeps getting tossed to the side and covered up. See, we're just the few. Once again, there's not enough of us to make an imprint in this country if it popped off like that. There's not enough of us. So we're the trip.
More for a reason to just listen to the majority, because the majority has been very patient.
That's why you see the random outbreaks of violence when it is a lot of times white on black. It's to get the black people riled up and mad at white people so that we can go and do something to negatively affect
That's why I say
a white community to get this party started.
All right.
Now, in the midst of them beating or trying to destroy us, now they can go fight the fight that they want to fight. Just like the thing with your man Charlie. That dude was mad about, like you said, he was in love with the transgender dude. He wasn't necessarily mad at Charlie, but Charlie was saying some things he ain't like. So he took it upon himself to kill this man for saying something that he didn't like.
There we go. There we go. This is the problem right here. So he's basically unintentionally, he's agreeing with Tyler Robinson unintentionally, in my opinion. Because he's saying because Charlie was saying certain things, therefore Tyler Robinson did what he did. And it seemed like he's saying that there's a reason why he did it and he's okay with it.
Right. We didn't have anything to do with that.
I didn't say you did.
I know you did. I know you did. I'm not saying you did.
But a lot of people have.
No, they didn't.
And I'm going to tell you. And listen,
not blaming Charlie Kirk on the black
community. That's the part right there. Steve, you refuse to listen to anything.
You think white people are blaming Charlie Kirk's death on the, because I just... on the black community?
It was precipitative. What happened was, after that happened, the two young men that went to Tennessee State set up in Charlie's, in his model, his MO, we want to have the debate. Illegal aliens got to do this, and DEI got to do this. Now, why would you go to a black college, which Charlie didn't do? That wasn't his thing. He was going to big PWIs. Go and sit down with the big school. Why would these two guys go now, with the country in the state of upheaval that it is, go sit on this campus
with no permits?
With no permits to go have a debate with people that didn't know they were coming.
Why is that a problem?
It's a problem because number one, you didn't get the permit. You didn't even go the proper route to do it. But secondly,
you knew what that was going to do.
At the time that
what is it going to do?
You were going to incite.
I go into liberal campuses. I go to lesbian colleges.
You were going to incite unrest.
This was Tennessee State University.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll tell you what. Let me go. We got a folding table in the back. I'm gonna take that table. I'm gonna go over here to this Jewish synagogue up here off the tollway, and I'm gonna go sit down and I'm gonna start saying disparaging things against them. Do you think I'm gonna be allowed to sit there and stay there? No, they're gonna escort me out of that building. Right?
Well, sure. If it's private property, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So but are you saying they had an anti-black sign?
No, those guys said illegal. Something about illegal.
Deport all illegals.
So DEI is the devil.
Deport all illegals. DEI is wrong or something like that.
So what's wrong with that? Like, you cannot hold yourself in disagreement. You have to just almost, if there was no cameras here and no police, those kids would not even survive in that campus. I'm telling you straight up. And this is the reason why people don't even want to go to HBCUs, man. These colleges are insane. These are supposed to be people that are there to just get some education, but they're making the argument that it was okay to just be treating people like that.
Yeah, DI is the devil or DI, but they did that to go and try and incite that group of people.
No, they went there for the same reason I'm here to have a conversation.
That's white people going over there bothering black people.
But you see how you...
That's white people going bothering black people. Let me ask you this.
They should get a permit, I agree. They should get a permit.
But why they didn't have their ass there the month before Charlie Kirk got shot? You know why? Because they didn't give a fuck about Tennessee State. They just wanted to try to go somewhere to incite some unrest.
Or maybe they went there because they want to have Hold on a second.
Smiley, you hit the nail right in the head. They're saying they don't want to be in the conversation. Yep.
Would they talk with anyone who would sit down at the table?
Wait, who, those guys?
Yeah, would they?
I don't know. They didn't get to talk.
Well, that doesn't seem like incitement.
They ran them off the campus. But once again, the month before Charlie Kirk incident, they didn't have no interest in going there then. Because if they did, they'd have called and got them a permit.
Yeah, you should get a permit. But I tell you what, I've also gotten permits.
They did that just trying to get something started. Once again, you said you got your numbers, black people jumping on white people, causing harm. But that's white people going bothering black people that didn't have nothing to do with that. Trying to get a fight started over here with some people they really want to fight over there. But I'm going this route.
How about instead of fighting, you talk with them?
What? You know what? You get your permit, you come back, you announce that you're going to be here on Tuesday the 17th, and then we'll set up, and then you have that. You don't just show up.
If you didn't have that, it's okay to beat you up?
In the midst of this, once again, like he said, HBCUs are on high alert now. They're on high alert because of this. They got to be scared because you know
why are they on high alert?
Because black dudes.
Sorry, I can't.
Several of them got threatened the next day.
Okay. Yeah.
And they had to shut the campuses down.
Can we find some common ground? Do you understand that the threats against
what about the black man that got hung at the college?
Do you understand that the threats against
right after that?
Talk about that. I'm listening to you.
The threats against conservatives since then have been far worse in the black community. Would you agree with that?
I don't know, because I'm not a conservative, and I don't pay attention to the threats against conservatives. But I do pay attention to the threats against HBCUs, especially Southern University.
Yeah.
And they received one after something that didn't have nothing to do with
from a race because they were black.
They received a threat directly related to the Charlie Kirk thing.
That's what it sounds like.
How so? I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
That was the information put out. We received a threat to the campus relating to the Charlie Kirk incident, and we're shutting campus down. and it was 6 different HBCUs the next day that got the same threat.
Do you mean related someone who would be agreeing with the shooter's ideology or Charlie Kirk?
We don't know.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Hold. You're saying exactly. They want to be considered as equal. You need to come to the table and debate your point. I will say this. I'm gonna put something very interesting in your statement. If they want to be considered as equal, they have to be sit down on the table. You cannot be having these type of conversation. Basically, the guy was saying that if you didn't have the permit or anything else, it's okay basically to beat you up. In my opinion, that's what he's saying.
Does that matter?
My question is, what does any of that have to do with anybody at an HBCU?
Fuck, man.
Why is 6 HBCUs going on lockdown the next day behind what happened in Utah?
Well, every school was on lockdown, and so were churches.
Not every school.
Oh, yeah.
SMU wasn't on lockdown.
Right here, just the church had to go into lockdown. Is that a race thing?
SMU wasn't, though.
I don't know if SMU was. I know that they cleared out class for the day.
Goes there. They weren't on lockdown.
Do you really think that since Charlie Kirk, it has impacted the black community more than any other community?
I didn't say that. I just said, why are we getting anything?
You shouldn't be getting anything.
That's my question.
Charlie Kirk shouldn't be shot.
So my question is,
well, how is this? How is this relevant?
Well, because once again, that actually happened. It's real stuff that happens, and it creates other tensions that people start talking about. Like, when the young man is found hanging on the campus a couple of days after that, like, there's all kinds of.
See, all that did was activate.
It's terrible.
Activate pockets and cells of unrest.
Different things start popping up. And
I understand that. Yeah.
There's a lot, especially in like Tennessee. There's a lot of them backwoods militia boys that's waiting on some shit to pop up.
I don't know how.
Nah, it's not even close.
Oh,
let me look. This is one thing that kind of I know pretty well. You know, Charlie Kirk was hunted. Charlie Kirk was hunted.
I believe
There's
that.
one other man as hunted as him, right? And it's me.
I agree with that.
And so, yes.
I agree with that.
You have to edit this, but there was literally a man arrested in Maryland last week who was coming for me, who had the means, the location, the ability, and disturbing ties. So, I will tell you this. Conservatives, people like Charlie Kirk, who, by the way, he was maligned as racist. There wasn't a racist bone in his body, if you agree with him or not. And by the way, I disagree with him in a whole lot. The fomenting of racial division and hatred is, and also gender division and hatred, LGBTQ, throw it all in, right? But he was accused. Throw it up. But yeah, he was called a Nazi. He was called a fascist, a homophobe, a racist, and that's why people were inspired to kill him, because they thought he was hateful. That's why I'm having these conversations, because he wasn't hateful. But he was hunted. Someone went out and said, I want to shoot a white conservative because of who he is and because of his views. And I'm number one on that list. I've had to be on the phone with the FBI. I've had to be on the phone with multiple intelligence agencies, because this is not, you're seeing the one that got through. There have been many attempts on Charlie's life and my life because of what we do here, having a conversation. And I think we can all agree that that's something that needs to be changed. But if you take that and go, and I've condemned it totally, just like Donald Trump with white supremacists, if that happens at HBCUs, it's awful. It shouldn't happen anywhere. Also, no one should be kicked off of campus or beaten up, permit or not, for having a point of view. People should have a conversation.
They should have been kicked off campus.
You should be kicked off by the administration. But here's the other thing that happens. Let me give you a flip side of that. SMU, TCU, UT, I've gone through the process. I've gotten permits. And then you've had students, sometimes they're black, sometimes they're lesbian, and they've complained and said, hey, we think this is hateful, and had to leave campus. And you know what that does? It puts me at risk, because now I don't have the place secure.
Yeah, I got Whiskey with the $2 super chat. He said black men in groups are loud and very impolite. Yeah, they tend to just really go in, man. Like, if you're not careful, that is, you know, they have a very, it's just part of the culture. It's just part of the culture. They're not allowing the conversation to be to settle in. They're not listening, right? So they want to get loud, because they think by being loud means that they're right.
Yeah, because
even though I had the right, but someone had an opinion that offended them.
But that's what I'm saying. Just like, if I say, okay, if I make a statement that says, man, white people have been giving it to black folks for a long time, somebody might take that and say that's racist. You shouldn't say that.
Sure.
I'm gonna feel like historically I got a right to say that, because
of course
that's what America has shown me.
Yep.
And I'm not saying nothing against any particular white person. I'm saying in general, the white power structure has been giving it to black folks in America for a long time.
You can say that.
So,
and you should never experience violence for it. I agree.
But there's certain places in time. Right. But I can say that in certain places in time that will incite violence. Because if I go out and say that in the middle of the cornfield festival, when I'm surrounded by people who don't look like me, and I say that, then I'm gonna subject myself to their scrutiny and their ire. Like they're gonna be like, wait, what you say, boy?
And I would anticipate.
I think you might get some racial epithets, and you might get an N-bomb. You might get the N-bomb here, but I don't think you get assassinated. I don't think you get assassinated.
Get out of here. It's gonna be some trouble.
Yeah, I know. We always know about the projection.
Yeah, that's projection right there.
Charlie
Yeah, that's just projection.
Wake up call.
In my opinion.
Tell you honestly, unless we can really have an effective discourse when it comes to our differences of opinion, we're gonna have a bad country moving forward.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying.
I just don't think
people hear things and they hear it according to their conditioning, what they've been conditioned to believe. So if you hear me say, white people been giving it to black people for a long time, and you've been conditioned to think that.
But that's not the argument.
As a black man, I'm a certain type of person. Well, you're gonna lean this way, and you're gonna categorize my speech as a certain thing. But if you free thinking and you clear thinking and you can think for yourself and say, well, let me examine what he said before I label him, because that's what everybody quick to do is label somebody.
Yeah.
Everybody got to be labeled as say you got to be a leftist.
Yeah, Stephen is just shut down.
You got to be conservative or whatever. It's like everybody's got a label.
Yeah.
If you think for yourself and say, you know what he said is actually, it ain't all the way wrong. He might have said it in a fucked up way. That's the thing that, once again, no disrespect to the dead, but that's what I give Charlie. Charlie said a lot of shit in fucked up ways sometimes to certain people.
Like what?
If you come from a certain black, like once again, if I'm on the phone with a customer service representative that's a moronic black woman, well, okay, I'm gonna hear that statement and saying, well, I get that you might think just anybody working in customer service may be moronic, but you didn't have to point out.
But what did he say that was messed up?
Moronic black woman. So to black women,
I don't know what he's saying, bro.
You're talking about that quote. So here's something that's important, right? Because Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Let's be clear about this, and we're both agreeing because people believed a lie. He never said black women were moronic. He never said that. He said it specifically about Ketanji Brown Jackson or Jackson Lee. About 3 black women who said, I'm here because of DEI. He said, if you're saying, I agree. I don't think you're smart enough for that job because they're not great in his opinion. Yeah, but he said, I agree with your statement. He never said black. He had black women who worked.
The exact quote he used, I watched the interview where he was talking to this blonde lady. I forgot her name. But
Megyn Kelly.
No, it wasn't Megyn Kelly. She's ugly. It was another one.
She's going to see this.
I don't
Jack has a whiskey with his $5 super chat. Say black people want to be with snow people. Trust me. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. I really don't know, man. Maybe you're telling the truth. I don't know.
I wanted to see it.
In my opinion, it's kind of mixed. I don't know.
Anyway. He was on a video call side by side with a lady, and he said, if I'm on a customer service call with a woman and she's a moronic black woman, that's his exact words, bro. I'm not paraphrasing or nothing. I'm using his exact verbiage.
Yeah, that's a
what
lie, bro.
If I'm on the phone with a customer service agent and she's a moronic black woman, what am I to think? That she got there based on DEI?
Yes.
Right?
So the context is he's saying if I'm on the phone with someone who would be in a DEI class, who sounds like an idiot, and this is, by the way, I had this exact similar conversation with the girl at UT, where she said, I would never be at UT if not for affirmative action. I said, affirmative, and I believe it, affirmative action is racist by its definition, my opinion. It excludes on race. That is a form of racism. So anyway, she sat down, she said, young black girl, she said, but if it wasn't for affirmative action, she said, I wouldn't be here at UT. I said, why do you say that? She said, well, because I wouldn't be allowed. I said, well, what were your SATs? I remember the numbers, they were very impressive. I said, what was your GPA? It was very impressive. It was over 4.0. I said, that's really sad to me that you don't know, and you'll never know that you deserve to be here, because I can tell you, based on if you're telling me the truth, you of course would get into UT. And you didn't need a government program. And you could see in her face, her tears welled up because she had been told that she needed someone else to give it to her. And that removed her sense of pride in her accomplishment. So I said the exact same thing as Charlie did, saying you can never know if you earned it, a meritocracy, because of DEI. And she changed her mind. And she said, you know what? I should be here, and I don't need DEI. Or affirmative action in that case.
In that particular, in order to believe that.
In that particular instance,
and certainly not from a white guy.
In that particular instance, it might have been completely accurate. But there's also, if you want to acknowledge that there's a flip side to the coin,
sure,
right? There's also a lot of people who had the qualifications who didn't get the access because, once again, their name appeared wrong on the resume.
What?
Their name was
Oh my
Ketanji.
God.
Well, we know who that is. Let's go with Alice.
Yeah. She is an idiot, and she got the job because
that's
of
why. That's why affirmative action had to be instituted in the first place. Now, did it operate correctly all the time?
What DEI does is,
but that's what I'm saying.
Let me explain something. What DEI does is basically remove accountability meritocracy in the process of hiring somebody. So you doing the job or whether you're qualified to do the job has nothing to do if you qualify to just get that position. DEI is just a way of just being racist. It's a way of a bigotry or low expectation. I don't think if you are from one race or one color, you should be giving priorities. It should not be like that. But DEI is that.
It didn't operate correctly all the time. You're gonna take the few instances where it didn't and make that the majority. And what I'm
saying is that Charlie Kirk. I agree. What I'm saying is that Charlie Kirk was making a point. And the point that he was making, I'm trying to say, is the same point that I was making where this black girl agreed with it, where he was saying, if you say that I'm only here because of DEI, then I am going to believe you. That's what he's saying. And that's a valid point, and it's not hateful.
In doing that, you have the responsibility in your words to not have to say the words moronic black woman. You could have just said, if I'm on, like you said, you just perfectly summed it up. If I'm on the phone with a customer service agent and she's a moron, perfect. Why does she have to be qualified as black?
Because he was addressing DEI. That's the point.
But do you understand? Do you understand how that's going to affect somebody who hears it?
No, my point is, okay, then I'm insensitive. If someone is addressing DEI in a conversation and is asked about it, where race is relevant as per the policy, DEI, it exists based on race. You can't blame someone for acknowledging the race in criticizing the policy.
But the policy was created because race was being used to exclude.
Yeah, fine. Then don't say that it's wrong for him to acknowledge the race. He was making the point about a race-based initiative.
But you see,
that's why he included the race.
You see the choice in words he had to use?
Yeah, bro, this dude, my goodness. Oh, my God. This dude doesn't really want to listen what he has to say. It's DEI, so it's based on racially selecting somebody. You have to acknowledge the race. Because clearly the customer service, whatever Charlie Kirk was saying, clearly there was some DEI attributes to that. Therefore, he had to address it. Like, we know the customer service, how it is. Spirit Airline is a good example. Frontline is a very good example. Sometimes when you call to the IRS, it's a very good example of that. So we don't have to lie to ourselves. Like, these people, they really, really want to hold that victim card so hard, huh?
And once again, our responsibility in our choice of words is what creates a response in other people. I could say certain things to you, the way I say it can either give you a good vibe or a bad one.
Sure, that's
and you're gonna respond a certain way.
Yeah, but who cares? It doesn't make someone a racist.
It doesn't, but I'm saying when people do things knowing that we're in a heightened inflammatory time, and you do it on purpose and just stand behind whatever. It don't make me a racist, but I'm saying that y'all ain't shit.
This dude, what the hell, bro?
Whatever.
But he never said that.
Whatever.
That matters because believing those lies is why someone killed them.
Women in a certain context, and then.
Well, it's not all, right? But there's some instance where there's a great pattern when you receive customer service from certain people, you tend to have certain outcome. Not all. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not expecting nobody to get upset by that.
Let me just, because Charlie Kirk is a big thing. Let me just kind of, maybe if you could just listen to this, because this is important. And I've been through it. And you're just seeing the actual murder that got through.
Right.
I mean, I've had concrete milkshakes, someone tried to bash me over that with a rock. I've had people try to firebomb my car, slash my tires. I've had terrorists show up from Yemen by way of Sweden until the local PD showed up. Like, actually, I'm on the ISIS kill list. Yeah. It's a real thing. Charlie
so all the stuff Dr. King and Malcolm X was dealing with. Go ahead.
Oh, my God.
Sure, great.
Yeah.
And I think it was wrong that he was taking probably the CIA involvement, too. I think we probably all agree on that, that MLK, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's wrong. Yep. We can say it's all wrong.
Oh, my God. No, they didn't. They threw the Malcolm X and Martin Luther King stuff. Wow.
But if you add it up, okay, where you believe the lie that he said something racist. Let's just take that, okay? There's some hate put out there against Charlie Kirk that's not true. If someone believes a lie that he wants to erase trans people, that's what the people were also told. He wants to erase trans people, which is a lie. That person hates him too. If someone believes that he's a fascist or he's a Nazi who doesn't believe we should hold democratic elections, which is a lie, and people believe that, hey, that adds another piece of hatred and justification too. If someone believes that he's a misogynist, a sexist, who doesn't think that women should be allowed to vote or have the right to, earn their place in the workplace, that's not. And every single one of them is dishonest, just like no one here knew that Donald Trump said, I condemn white supremacists and neo-Nazis totally. So
and I still don't know that he said it. I hear you saying he said it, but I'd have to go see it in order to know.
Okay, so let's assume for a second that I'm not lying, and right after this, I make the references available always. And you see that. And let's assume that I'm not lying and Charlie Kirk wasn't racist. And let's assume that he didn't want to commit genocide against trans people. And let's assume for a second that I'm not lying and there's a 12 times murder rate from black toward white people as opposed to white toward. Let's assume that I'm not lying about any of this because I'm kind of good at it and I know these numbers and it's what I do. Wouldn't we acknowledge that, hey, why? Why do so many people believe these lies? I guarantee you this right here, this conversation, you will read in the media that this was racist. Because I sat down and
discussed race issues.
Because I sat down and argued with black people. I've been accused of being a Nazi because of sitting down and having conversations. They said, well, you should know that's offensive. That's not my responsibility. I'm actually having a conversation, and so did Charlie. And he was shot for it and vilified for it.
And wrongly.
And that's wrong, yeah. That's wrongly. And nobody.
But it's because people believe the lie.
But that's my point. It's because the way information is propagated and given to people, once again, via social media, all these other platforms, and most of it is disinformation.
I agree.
So that's the root of the problem.
But here, you cannot even identify yourself when you're having wrong information or not. Even the stats that were brought during this conversation, you cannot even refute it. You have to say, nah, I don't believe that. Nah, I don't believe that, which is not even an argument. It's not even helping you. Sometimes, listen, if you don't have the information right there with you, you have to grant some of these arguments, and that way we can move the conversation forward. But you're not even granting arguments. You guys aren't even granting anything. It's just a back and forward of just fatigue, I guess.
Giving people the wrong information, and then they responding to this wrong information by feeling a certain way about the people that information is informing them about.
Yep.
So then you have crazy people responding to misinformation. And that's where we at. We're a bunch of crazy people, bunch of shook up soda cans waiting to pop over some bad information.
Yeah.
I want to add something, if I may, though, and this is the only part, as it relates to the Charlie Kirk situation, the only thing I think we kind of getting the mixed message in that is, as I said again, it was a young white man that killed Charlie Kirk for his personal issues.
Yo, it's just they have to make everything about damn race, man.
Whatever those ideologies that may have been the cause that fueled his violence, it wasn't a black man who said, I don't like what he's saying. Nevertheless, he has said that, Ketanji Brown Jackson, what's that young lady, Michelle Obama, all these people with DEI highs. In other words, we respond differently because we have gotten so accustomed to it in terms of what's believed about us or perceived about us. So we just know, hey, at tomorrow it'll be another sound bite on some other shit. You understand what I'm talking about? So we're not going to react the same way. So I think we got to acknowledge the fact that, hey, you know what? There may need to be a change in the conversation overall as it relates to what's really the hell going on with white and black America. That's why I say I just need you to kind of and Steve, when I say this, it's not a challenge, but I got to ask you got to tell me these sources where you're getting this 12 times more likely a black man killing a white person.
This is to show you. This is to show you that they don't even understand the current situation of their own community. They cannot even understand their own situation. This is very well documented. 12% of the population, 14% of the conversation is committing over 50% of the violent crime in the United States. We know this for quite a while. There are multiple statistics. I think the website blackstatistics.com is a very good source for that, where they just track some of these stats as well. This is very well known, and even in their own community, even their own cities, they can see it. But again, because they're used to that environment, I don't think they're gonna let it go.
Gotta know that, not because it's contradictory, but because I like to have facts. Give me the source.
I'll give them to you. Yeah, when we do it, we always give a QR code where you can see all of them. These are coming from either the FBI or DOJ.
You say QR code and seeing. That's a blind
I
thing.
know, that's what I'm saying. I have to print it on Braille and ship it. By the way, you want to hear funny, true, hand to God. I dated a girl in college whose dad was at an airport, and next to him was Stevie Wonder. He was reading a Playboy in Braille. I was like, I guess you had to do that one-handed. I don't know how you use a Playboy in Braille, but...
Hey, man, blind people, we love sex. That's our only connection to the rest of society.
In an airport, Stevie Wonder, Playboy in Braille. He's like, the f***.
Hey, Charles had 11 children. Go figure.
All right, no, I will.
It's been a pleasure.
Hey, Cedric, thanks. I gotta get going, too. Thank you, man. Now that I know you're blind, I'm gonna...
Terrific, man. Thank you for everything, man. Continue your discourse, man, because this is the only way we're going to really get to the root of the problem. We got to talk about it first. So let's create the dialogue.
Yeah, and I came in hot because, my friends are getting killed, so...
Absolutely.
But I appreciate it. No,
sure.
Thank you.
Very good back and forward, man. Very good. Yo, it was a fatigue. I'm not gonna lie, man. That was a fatigue. That was a real one. That was a real one. But I wanted to do it, guys. I want to do it. It's not easy what he does. It's not easy what a lot of these folks do. I understand, but man, I'm telling you. Oh, my bad. There you go. Thank you so much, baby. There you go. I was talking to myself for a second. Thank you so much. So what I was saying that for Jackass Whiskers, thank you so much for supporting the channel, man. I really appreciate that. You basically sponsored the show today, basically. Thank you so much for that. Again, I have to just mention, you can join the Discord. Please join the Discord. The link is going to be in the description. Go become a member. And that way you get notifications every time that I just upload a new video. And don't be afraid to just have conversations. You can also reach out to me on Discord, private message. Just keep it respectful. My mission is basically just move this thing forward, man. I just want to make sure that our Republicans in a better spot than yesterday. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much. Hopefully we're going to see you next time. I'm still working on how to schedule some of these live, because I don't know how to connect my studio to my OBS. Sometimes when I connect them, it just becomes a mess. And I don't know how to do it yet. But again, Jack at the Whisker, thank you so much for everything. Meantime, guys, I'll see you in the next one.